We are the Level Up Show. This is our 5th episode. Did you ever think we would make it this far?
No, I thought we would get to 1.
Yeah, I did too. But
I have faith.
I never thought you would commit to this, Mike. But we did. And I'm Andrew. I'm one of your hosts. This is Mike back again. We got Kristen back again. We got Mark back again, our 2 producers. But this week, actually Dan's back again this week. You can't even see him, but we got 2 Dans. We also have another Dan here. I will not say his last
One
name.
Dan doesn't need to be seen. He just trolls.
We know a lot of Dans, so there might be a 3rd Dan coming eventually.
There could be. It's like the evil trilogy.
Since you're new here, Dan, do you want to give a little background on yourself? Not personal information, but maybe concerning gaming. Like
we don't need to know your psoriasis.
Sure. I guess like most of my gaming experience has been in JRPGs, and I know I've had the standard FPS, the standard 8-year-old boy's experience. But mostly I'm just playing like Steam games these days. Anything's available through Steam. I'm basically a pure PC gamer at this point.
I'm just gonna turn down the volume real quick.
A pure PC gamer.
Yep. He is all about the computer.
Which I'm finally getting into because I got a new laptop.
Yes, you did.
And I'm going to talk about that later because I played like my first PC game in like 5 years, and it turns out
absolutely loved it
to be on my top 3 this
year. Which is funny because you of all people actually downed the PC as a dying genre multiple times.
Yeah, I think it's coming back with Steam. I think Steam was one of the big proponents of that. Talk about my shirt. Okay, she wants me to talk about my shirt because I think we have a lot of Breaking Bad fans here.
Yay!
Breaking Bad. It says "I am the danger." You probably can't read that because it's in reverse.
I am the danger.
But I got this for Christmas. It's an awesome
I am the
shirt.
one.
All right, enough side talk. Let's get into the actual news.
Nice.
There's only 4 stories this week, so let's start with
one major one.
This first one's not major, but I thought it was worth mentioning. It's the PlayStation Plus deals for January. Let me load this up real quick.
It's just like every other month. It's absolutely amazing, and now they add the PS4 in there as well.
I think this is an especially good month.
Yes.
Okay, so PS4, they're kind of sticking with the indie stuff, but this I hear is a great game. It's called Don't Starve. It's a very morbidly looking game, but it has a cute atmosphere to it. It's got like cute character designs.
I really want
in a morbid.
It
looks like Nightmare Before Christmas almost.
Yeah,
There's something like Coraline.
Like a very what's his name feel to it.
I can't remember his name. People always think Tim Burton was the guy who did those, but it's like Selleck or something like that. Selleck.
It's not Tom Selleck.
Yes, Tom Selleck. Yeah.
It's about Tom Selleck.
For PS3. 3 great games from what I hear. BioShock Infinite, which I played, and it is excellent.
Phenomenal game.
So that's free for you next month.
I think it's going to replace one of mine for top, because I think the story deserves it.
Okay.
All right. Anyway.
And then from there we got DMC, which is the reboot of Devil May Cry.
Which I hear is very good, especially if you play it to the end.
Mm-hmm.
At the beginning, people are like a little about, but now that it's free, there's no reason anybody should.
A lot of people just bashed it because of the reboot, the design, and whatnot.
This is actually the second time they tried to reboot it, because they tried to start it over with the 4th one and go back.
Yeah, they had a new character. What was his name? I can't remember. I actually played that game.
No, not Virgil.
That's his brother.
That's his brother.
But that didn't really take off. People were just like, bring Dante back, and then they brought Dante back, but they brought him back as a.
Me and Pat Riley played the crap out of the game when it came out.
People's last names.
The first one is especially awesome. Who is saying people's last names?
Mike did.
What?
He just said
Pat Riley.
Hey!
You did it again! Let's get
Patrick Riley.
Stop it!
People don't stalk Patrick Riley.
Patrick Riley.
Don't have the right to. So everyone knows Patrick Riley is the name of an IRA terrorist.
Right. I feel like the last name of Riley and the first name.
There's
of
a lot of Patrick
Rileys
Rileys
not going
out
to be
there.
that big of an issue.
What's up, Prodigal Son? You have returned? I don't know if you were here before.
Has the Prodigal Son returned?
All right, and then finally we got Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons for PS3, which is it's not really an indie title. It was, from what I know, it was developed by a guy who does movies typically. I think he's a movie director, and he kind of wanted to get his hand into video games, and he developed something kind of similar to Ibn Ab, if you played that, where each joystick controls one of these 2 brothers.
Speaking of, how did you like that?
I played Ibn Ab last week in a level because I didn't even finish the level.
Right, because it was friggin' difficult.
Yeah, if you're playing it by yourself, just give up.
Right,
it's very difficult.
Oh my god.
I mean, unless you have like really good like cognitive skills, I guess. I don't know what the word would be.
But I feel like if you're like what was that?
Hand-eye.
No, not hand-eye, where you're left-handed and right-handed. What the hell?
Ambidextrous.
Ambidextrous. Thank you.
Yeah. But that was a tough game. But I think Brothers is known to be a much better game than Ibn Ab.
That's fun.
It's a more story focused. I hear it has an awesome final boss. I have no idea how that works. But there's a lot of top 10 and 25 and 42 lists coming out, and so I hear boss battle wise that's one of the good ones. And then finally for Vita, these aren't as great, but there's Smart As, which is a trivia game. And then I think this is kind of like a throwback title. It's called Worms Battle Islands.
Yes.
Is that
Did
like
you
a,
ever
just
play?
a?
You
I remember
played
Worms, but is this
Yeah.
like a reboot or?
It's actually really cool. It's actually more of like a 3. It has a very 3 twist on it. So
Okay.
actually, I wanted to play it very badly.
So it's a new
So
game.
It's a somewhat new game within
Okay.
the last year, I think.
So those are the PlayStation Plus games for January.
Right.
Those are all free.
Right.
If you don't have PlayStation Plus yet,
You're doing it wrong.
you're doing it wrong.
You're
Yes.
completely doing it wrong.
It's-
Doing it wrong, by the way.
Especially if you're on PS4, because that means you can't do any.
Right.
Well, you can do a lot. You
You
just
can do
can't
a
play
lot of
online.
stuff, but you just can't do the stuff that matters.
Yeah, you
Like
can do
play
this.
online.
I think
Yeah.
you can watch us. That's
So let's
nice.
not insult the people that don't have it yet because they could be watching us right now.
Next news is very sad. Hello Games, who we discussed probably 2 weeks ago for the VGX,
VGX,
reveal
yeah.
of No Man's Sky, which was my favorite game that night. It's a procedurally generated title, and it looked awesome, but they got hit by a flood, their office,
Right.
very recently, and it's
Which
supposedly
I
it
can
was.
imagine it's a small office.
Yeah, there's only 4 guys working on that game, so it probably didn't take much to take them out. Supposedly it was the water was so high it was coming through the windows, and they lost everything, all their computers.
Let
But
this be a lesson to you of why you back your stuff up.
yeah, definitely. But they're in high spirits, so I'm guessing they still have their code and whatnot.
I would imagine, like I said, I would imagine they have it
Yeah.
backed up somewhere.
But then I think just today they released on Twitter some even worse news is that they're not covered by insurance.
Get the hell
out of here.
I did not know that.
The reason they said for this,
awful.
the guy that I don't know who they were contacting, but they were in a known flood zone, and if you're in a flood zone, you're not covered by flood insurance.
Get the
So,
hell
and they
out of
didn't know this, so they got screwed over hard.
here. Wow.
Yeah, so they're gonna have a tough time. I think.
Kickstarter.
Yeah, Kickstarter. They
Sorry,
should do that.
Kickstarter for these guys.
But that's that. You know, maybe reach out to them on Twitter or something. Just kind of give condolences, I guess you would call it, because
Right.
that sucks. Because they're
Yeah,
a
that's
small
awful.
team and they're gonna have to come back from this now, and hopefully they can get that title out because it looks
Yes.
awesome. Okay, from there, we got Gone Home, which I'm gonna talk about later. You might have. That's a hint from earlier. For me being on PC now, Gone Home is being remade, or some people would call it a demake of that game into a 16-bit RPG.
Right.
It's very early, but the guy who's doing this has done other titles before. Right now, the images that he's showing are way too bright. Like I hope it's early and he's
You
gonna
gotta
darken
remember
it.
too, if he's really gonna do it the right way,
Yeah.
that game would be that coloration on that console.
I don't know how he's
he's doing
gonna
it,
do
in
it.
a SNES style. I think it
Yeah,
was?
like 16-bit.
16-bit.
Yeah, I don't know how he's gonna do it with certain areas of that game. One specifically that I'll touch on later, but. You know, it's always
Right.
cool when people do this, especially if it's free.
Right.
Yeah, I would try it out if it's free. And then finally, this has got to be the biggest news of the week.
This is mind blowing, and I can't.
If you
believe-
guys haven't heard this,
right,
it's a new
this is
Smash
something-
Brothers character.
I know we always diss Nintendo for not giving out a lot of news. And
Yeah.
This goes to show that we can be surprised,
Especially after last week.
Especially after last week when we dissed them for so
Bringing
long.
us back to the glory days, they are putting Zelda into Super Smash Brothers.
Oh my God!
What?
That is their big news for the week. Congratulations,
No, that's-
Nintendo! You are dropping
It's
the ball.
awesome, but there's
No,
already
it
been
is.
Zelda.
Right.
It's
This
not
is kind of
news.
like a guaranteed thing as happening. This
That's
is
like putting Link in or Samus or
right. That's like
Okay.
Sony saying that they're developing titles for their game system.
Yeah, it's
Like
just
no one
I
gives a
think
shit
it
anymore.
sounds-
why is that news?
Right.
But I think they made a pretty big deal out of it. Hopefully,
They make a big deal of everything that doesn't matter. Because
I think
we
it was
all know
actually
it's coming.
bigger news that what's the name of the princess from Galaxy?
Princess,
Shoot.
Isn't it Luna?
do you mean Princess Peach?
No, but is
Peach.
Not Peach.
no,
Peach is the
it's in
typical
new,
one.
Mario Galaxy
Oh.
one. She has a blue dress.
But she's in it now,
yes.
and her
Which
moves look awesome.
Luna?
Right. Which
Wait,
that's
what did
fine
you
with
say
that.
looks awesome?
Her
Her
new
moves.
moves in the
Oh, I
Super
thought
Smash
you said
Bros.
something else.
Okay,
Her
I know
moves
she's
look
not.
awesome too. But it's a Nintendo game, so they don't look as good as they could.
Yeah, but
If it was
that was a bigger story than Zelda, even though Zelda's a bigger character. So that's your Nintendo news for the week. I'm sorry that was so disappointing.
Rosalina, by the way.
Rosalina.
Rosalina.
There we go.
Dan coming through already.
Yes.
Vital.
He's
Hey,
a
guess
vital
what?
member to our team.
Ghost said he looks like a young Steve Jobs.
You look like a young Steve Jobs.
I mean, I guess.
Steve Jobs is actually a good-looking guy when he's younger. So
Yeah,
I'll
he
take
kind of
that.
looks like Ashton
Yeah.
Kutcher. He looks like Ashton Kutcher with long hair and a beard. Oh,
Maybe
wait.
a few extra pounds.
I'm gonna just sit back here.
Okay, moving on. That literally is it.
Don't talk about that.
That's literally the only
Oh.
relevant news we
See
have
what
for the
Ghost
week,
says?
pretty much.
For any Xbox One players here, supposedly Microsoft will be giving a free game a month for Xbox One Live members.
Yeah, I saw that.
This is kind of their
deal.
answer, right?
Right,
To
this is-
PlayStation Plus.
Yeah, this is what they've been doing. I mean, I'm a Microsoft supporter,
Yeah.
if I can be, but they make it very, very hard.
Yeah.
It's like trying to root for the dark side.
They've released some
Um,
good games
Right.
from this, but they're very old.
Yeah.
Right? They're very old titles.
So like the first way they came out with it, they said, okay, well, Sony's doing something good. We need to come back with something of our own. And so they thanked all of us for being loyal Microsoft members by giving us Halo 3 and Assassin's Creed 2, which are
both
at the
games.
time they're great games, but they're also 5 years old,
Yeah.
and you can purchase both in a store new for probably about $20 at the
Yeah, I mean, let's look at it. Like BioShock Infinite and Devil May Cry are like a year old.
They did it. Here's what's funny is they did it in the same month. I'll tell you right now, the best month ever for PlayStation Plus was this past June.
Okay.
You got Uncharted 3, Saints Row 3, Little Big Planet Karting, Deus Ex, XCOM, and Machina.
That was their E3 thing.
That was their E3 thing.
Yeah.
But Microsoft came out, and you feel like if you want to come out with something brand new, that you want to combat the opposing company, you want to be strong in it, and you're going to come out with that, then that's just a stab in the back and a slap in the face, both at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, they've got to step up a little bit. I mean, Sony's doing, across their 3 platforms, 5 games, or actually, what is it? They're doing 6 games next month. Like, that's,
right.
You can't beat that. It's just...
No. Plus the discounts.
Plus the discounts, and you can't even forget that. So that's a big deal. We are at 64 people, and since we got that high right now, I'm going to take the opportunity to say a few things. We have a blog, and I don't think a lot of people are visiting it, but we are updating it with a few articles each week, but also with some reviews. So far, I've done Resogun and Knack. So if you want to check out those reviews, go to thelevelupshow.blogspot.
And they're really good. I read them.
She read them. She proofread them.
I proofread them.
Look, she's a librarian, so she would know how it goes.
Yes. She did a great job.
Very serious.
So those are the 2 reviews up right now, and I'm going to review Gone Home, which I'll talk about in a second. That'll probably be my next one.
Oh,
and then after that, I'll probably be Tearaway, which I'm getting pretty close to finished on. But we're going to be doing article updates throughout the week, probably the big ones that we think we'll talk about during the show.
Yep.
So visit us there, comment on things, give us some feedback too on the show. That would be very nice. Also, if you want to contact us, let's give some information. Mark, how about you help me out here? On Twitter, we are at The Level Up Show. That is with level spelled LVL. If you go on Facebook, you can find us at facebook.com/The Level Up Show, but that's spelled exactly how it sounds. And then finally, is there anything else?
I think that's it for right now. I think that's all we have.
Yeah, and the blog spot.
Yeah.
So visit on
my
on
personal number is no.
Oh yeah, I mean if you want to add us on PSN, I'm Drew M1788 and Mike is
Noob Guru.
If you could probably figure that out, right?
Yeah, I mean spelled the right way. NOOBGURU. And actually, I do have a Xbox Live account still that you can add me at. It's actually Daniel space Piosh. You can add me on my.
Is that really
account.
still it?
Oh, it definitely is. It will always be that.
Okay, that's mean. You don't know why, but it's mean.
To me.
All right, so let's go into what you've been playing. I've been building this up, so let me get into it. I played Gone Home. I played it from 3 to 6 a.m. Kristen was on the couch sleeping next to me. It was dead silent in here, which is the perfect way to play that game. No lights on. And I had no idea what I was going into when I started it. I just knew that it was on a ton of Game of the Year lists.
Don't you have some music from that, or no? Did you not?
I don't have any music, but the music is great.
I heard the music phenomenal. That's why.
If you want to go on YouTube real quick, you can stream it. It's got great music, especially during all the journal parts of the game. So pretty much, I don't want to talk about this too much. And I'm going to review this, and it's probably going to be the most difficult review I'm going to have to write in a while, because I love it so much, and I can't tell you anything about it. Because it's entirely about the experience. It's entirely about the story and the development of this family as you kind of pick through their lives. So pretty much, you are a character named... I think her name is, you don't know it too often actually. You're the daughter in a family, you've got a little sister named Sam, and then you got your parents, but you are the older sister and you move away, or you actually just go on a big trip to Europe for a year, and right after you leave for your trip, your family moves to a new house that was owned by your father's uncle who died and has a lot of secrecy behind him. A lot of people call him a psycho, so that's kind of like a little eerie right there. But you come back home from Europe, and on the front door there's a note from your sister saying, "Don't look for me. Don't tell mom or dad where I am. I'm gone. I had to do this kind of thing." And you go inside, and your parents aren't there either. There's messages left on the machine of a crying girl asking for your little sister. The house is completely dark and torn apart, and you are left to figure out what happened here. Like, where's your parents? Where's your little sister? Did something sinister happen in the house? And it kind of brings you back to like old school Myst and Seventh Guest. It's pretty much point and click, but you're wandering around this house, and you're turning on all the lights because you're nervous and you feel like something's going to be around the corner. They keep kind of giving these feelings that the ghost of Oscar, the original owner of the house, is in there. I'm not going to tell you what is in that house or what happened to your family, but the atmosphere in this game, the music, everything about it is just you get soaked into it. And as you go around the house, you feel like you're almost violating this family because you're going through their drawers and their personal belongings. Is that from Going Home? That is. That's the thing. That's a little loud. Don't play that. But they have a lot of like punk, like rock music. The Little Sister is kind of that type of girl.
It's very 90s.
Yeah, very 90s. Because it takes place in 90s. Thank you. It takes place in 1995. And it has a lot of like punk rock music, and you wouldn't think that would set the atmosphere for such an eerie game, but as you're going around, you'll find little cassette tapes, and you'll find a little tape, a cassette player. You'll put it in, it'll play music like this, and that kind of it sets the mood a little bit. But the biggest part of the game is when you find journals, and you don't really necessarily find journals. You pick up objects within the house that just bring about a journal entry, and you don't know why these journal entries are popping up or when they're from. It all makes sense at the end, but you're starting to find out a little bit about all the stuff that led up to that moment with your little sister being in that house and what she had to go through from a school perspective, friends, family, all these little things. It's almost a coming of age story, and I almost felt like I was reading like one of the like classics back in high school that like everyone told you was so great, and you finally read it and you're like, okay, I see what this is all about. It kind of almost gave me that feeling, but
so Drew, if I can interrupt you then, so having played a little bit of Gone Home, a little bit of Dear Esther though, how do you feel like it compares?
A lot of people are comparing the two.
Right, because like how much game really is there? I mean, yes, you kind of build the story because of your exploration.
You're never taken out of the experience. Let me say that. There's no cutscenes, but a lot of people are going to say that it's an audiobook. I think, and that's a complaint that I'm hearing pretty often from going online afterwards and reading. I'll say right now that it's one of my favorite games of the year, but there's a lot of people complaining that you're playing an audiobook. A lot of people would say that about Heavy Rain. A lot of people would say that about The Last of Us, that you're wandering from cutscene to cutscene. I
would say that about Two Souls.
About Two Souls.
Yeah.
Quantic Dream's known for that, but that's not a problem for everyone. It's going to be a problem for some people. But if you want to really just kind of go through an experience, 3 hours long, kind of brought me back to Journey. I played it in one sitting and just let it take over my entire psyche for that 3 hours.
I did the same thing with what was the game with it's like all black and it's a gray background.
Limbo.
Thank you. I did the same thing with Limbo. It's
a short game.
I thought it was.
It's very short styled. Has a message behind it.
Yeah. But you have to figure out that message a little bit.
Right. You have to kind of figure out, and at the very end, if you don't get it, you're doing it wrong.
So that's interesting, right? Because with Limbo, it is like there are certain puzzles. And you kind of
that one's more gameplay, whereas you're right.
Well, Gone Home, I think what your comment is very true. That it's very much just an experience.
Yeah.
And now, like playing Journey halfway through and going, oh, I'll just start it here later. It doesn't really work.
No.
It is a game to just sit down, play it, and absorb.
Yeah. If I can say anything, it's play it in one sitting. Because you can beat it in 2 hours. I spent 3 with it because I picked up every object in the house. I picked up tissue paper. I picked up toilet paper. I picked up.
You're known to go through everything.
I went through their refrigerator and looked at the bottom of bottles. I looked at everything because you could. They really just modeled everything. It gets a little repetitious by the end because you'll start seeing the same objects here and there. But that didn't ruin it for me. Though Insane Journey was a great playthrough. That was my game of one of the games of the generation, probably right behind The Last of Us for me. And this. That was what this was for me. It was. Right. I'm getting into that now. I think that's going to be my favorite games for going forward. It's going to be these little 2 and 3 hour experiences.
And that's perfect because especially for people like you. I mean, now you're an insomniac. You don't sleep.
Yeah, I don't sleep.
But even then, you have other stuff that you need to get done, and I don't have very much time for a lot of gaming as much as I used to anymore. So these 2-3 hour games that you can sit through and beat, but you still get that same attachment that I had when I saw Master Chief die at the end of Halo 3. The fact that
spoiler alert,
Halo 3. You haven't played it now? Come on, get the heck out of here. I don't.
Hey, I didn't know that actually. I didn't know you died.
Well, you didn't really.
I don't care.
You think he died?
Oh, is it not for sure thing?
Well, there's a Halo 4.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking. Was Halo 4 a prequel? I don't know. So he didn't die.
No.
I guess he's not that bad.
Yeah. Right. All right. Never mind. Non-spoiler alert.
Right.
Just kidding.
All right. But that's Gone Home, and it was amazing. It's $10, I think, still on Steam. It's originally $20, I think, for the holiday sale. It was $10. I'm not sure if that's still going, but if it is, I recommend playing it, and I recommend playing in one sitting. 2 or 3 hours, just turn down all the lights, silence the room, turn up the music real loud, and just soak it in. So otherwise, I don't want to really talk about this too much, but I'm still playing Tearaway, and like I said, I'll get around to reviewing that.
Can I talk about it first?
Yeah, you keep watching me. Go ahead.
Wait, Kristen has some input on games?
On Tearaway.
Wow.
Go ahead. What
No,
do you think
I
of
like in Tearaway that they have squirrels. Yes, I like flour, but it gives me a little bit of a headache, and I can't control it. Actually, the thing flies all over the place.
it? She can't get used to the sensitivity.
Yeah, I'm used to the old Super Nintendo.
Yeah, left to right. That's it.
No, but Tearaway, it's so cute because it's a guy game, but it's also a girl that they have squirrels and stuff.
So
you can
guys
decorate.
can't like squirrels.
No, it's more that you
but
can decorate them.
You can decorate the squirrels and like give them like changes in their face.
What if I want to decorate
And you can
squirrels?
take your picture with the squirrel.
You do selfies.
You
yeah.
can do
You do
selfies with
selfies.
the squirrels.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Like
it's
for
so
instance,
cute.
there's one moment where you have to make yourself look like a squirrel. So you have to open up your little paper craft table and you have to start cutting out, like take the
You cut
scissors and
gloves
cut paper,
and crowns.
gloves, crowns, whatever. If you have to make yourself look like something, you have to start putting paper on yourself and make yourself look like 1710 Eagles to people who care.
Yes,
But it is. It's an adorable game, and if you haven't
it's really good.
heard me talk about before, it's done by Media Molecule, and they're becoming, I think, one of the most creative studios out there right now. This game is just it's so cute, and it's all done in this paper world with your world being on the outside breaking in. I don't want to talk about it too much, but it's really a great game, and I'm probably 60% done it. So if you want to look for my review, it'll probably be going up next week on the Blogspot. You haven't played anything though.
I mean, I've been playing a lot of old stuff. I've had a very busy week. It's the holidays.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Oh,
between
speaking
my
of that,
daughter-
happy holidays, everyone.
Yeah, Merry
Merry
I know we
Christmas
said
to
it in
those
advance
who-
before, but yeah,
Yeah.
we hope you all had a good holiday and
Yeah.
be safe on this coming new year.
Yep, definitely.
But make sure you drink enough. But regardless, yeah, I've been a little too busy. I've been playing a couple things here. I mean, when we had the gaming night,
Yeah.
we were playing some stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was fun. We just did a retro gaming night recently.
It wasn't really a retro gaming night.
It was a little bit.
It was not what we had originally planned, and we do want to do that again if PH ever makes an appearance.
Yeah, we brought over some like little 13-inch tube TVs, but then we also had the HD TV going, and we had Mod Nation Racers going on that TV, and then on the little tubes we had Nintendo 64 and Genesis going, right?
I will probably say that I got Mean Bean Machine going, which is the most retro we got.
Yeah, that was the most retro Mean Bean Machine.
Yeah.
Mean Bean Machine.
Dr. Robotnik's.
It's like a weird version of Tetris where you play against another person.
Yeah.
Like Pac-Man?
No, not really.
No.
More like things falling down the screen, and you have to.
Like I said, Tetris.
Yeah, you've never mentioned Pac-Man.
That's because I don't play Pac-Man.
Yeah, but that.
Even though I heard
Do you have the new version for your PS3?
DX Anniversary.
DX Anniversary, yeah.
Anniversary. I don't. I heard it's great, but
It's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, I think I have it through PlayStation Plus, but I never played it.
Yeah,
But we pretty much just played GoldenEye
GoldenEye and Dan's favorite was Mario Party.
and Mario Party. Yeah.
Fucking love Mario
Which
Party.
destroys controllers.
Super do.
Destroys controllers and friendships.
Yes.
I have to point this out. I recently went on a hunt and I got Mario Party 1, 2, and 3 because I just wanted
Did you
all
really?
of them, and it's freaking awesome.
You know what's funny is Miranda.
2 is the best, by the way. 2 is
Miranda
actually
actually
the best one.
hacked her car and found her GameCube with Mario Party 4 in it.
Nice.
And like 4 controllers. And if she had just unlocked her car beforehand, we would have had it. So.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
the big thing was Mod Nation Racers.
Mod Nation. Oh, wait, no, you guys were playing Mod Nation Racers. We were all having a fun time with GoldenEye and realizing how much it was. It has not aged well at all. Let's just
I was watching them. They're playing 4-player, and that game runs at like 12 frames per second.
It's
Oh,
awful.
It's terrible. Like I understand why it was so big at the time. It really was one of the first games to do that, like local multiplayer on a console, like a standalone console. So that was a big deal, but it does not play well today.
Anyone ever tried? Okay, I'll probably butcher it.
Rise.
Rise Sunroom.
Trying
Oh,
to.
tried to.
Yeah, I've tried trying.
In 3D.
I downloaded the demo and I tried it in 3D.
Yeah,
That's a gorgeous game. I think it was a PC game originally. It's really colorful,
Yeah.
and you play
I
as
do wanna
3 different
play it.
characters.
I had it for the PC when I had my PC.
You've got a wizard, you got an archer, and then you got a knight.
Yeah.
And I haven't played through it enough, but it's kind of like Baldur's Gate but side-scrolling, and
Yeah.
it's gorgeous if that's what you're asking.
Well, that was
It's
a PS
beautiful
Plus
game.
game
He
for a
said it
while,
was
wasn't it? Yeah, I played that for a little while.
Yeah,
I
it's a
think I played
beautiful
few
game,
of
and it is in 3D.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize, like a lot of people are going off like that the PS4 doesn't support 3D. It does. The Trine is a 3D title,
Right.
so you can play 3D games on PS4, and you can play 3D Blu-rays, I think, or that might be coming very soon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for some reason they did not allow that right at launch.
Maybe right
Weird
not at
because
launch,
they were
yeah.
the biggest pusher of the platform.
I think they realize that 3D is just not taking off.
No, it did not at all.
Yeah, if I can comment on it. So I've played Uncharted 3 in 3D.
Yeah.
And that is it's an interesting experience. I mean, it's one of those things where like you kind of get tired of like wearing the glasses the entire time, but that might just be being
It depends
not
on which
used to it. But
TV you watch.
the interestingness is that mostly for Uncharted 3, it's like just the UI is 3D and the actual gameplay is still mostly 2D to some extent.
Yeah.
So it adds a little flair to it, but is it necessary to make it neat?
There are certain games that really benefit from it. I'll tell you right now, Super Stardust was actually really entertaining. And it also depends on what TV you have. Different TVs use their own proprietary glasses.
Yeah.
So I know some TV, like for instance, Sony's TVs, the glasses, especially at first, were very heavy.
So the one that my format was, we were on a projector with active, right? So it had batteries in the glasses.
Right.
I'm gonna go to 2 questions that I just saw real quick. I'm sorry. I saw Tomb Raider. Is it worth getting on PS4?
100%.
I would say if you haven't played it before.
Right.
Definitely.
Well, even if you have played it before, I mean, there's not a lot of titles right now.
Yeah.
It's always worth playing through, and a lot of people, especially with that game, probably ran right through the story.
Yeah.
I didn't. It was actually one of those games where I did not do that. And there's a lot to collect and upgrade and everything like that. So that combined with the DLC that they give you for free in it, well, not for free, but here's what you're paying for.
Yeah, definitely.
It's 100% worth it.
It's a great game. It really is a great game. So
that
it's
goes
worth
out
playing.
to Xbox One fans as well.
And then another guy was asking, I just got a PS4. Is this the future? He came from the Xbox 360. I think what we're doing right now, this is the future.
Right.
You're going to see this kind of stuff taking over
Yes.
the living room. It's just going to be people trying to have like collaborative experiences, not through playing together, but from people watching you and commenting on you, and you becoming your own little mini YouTube star. And people will
I see Trace and Kevin and Susie and
people love feeling like they're important. We're doing it right now.
Anyone through the looking glass?
Yeah,
Anyone?
we're really important. Yeah,
We love feeling like we're important to all 61
We're in the
of you.
Truman Show right now.
Yeah,
Can I say something else?
Shh.
I
Keep
don't
us
know
warm,
about
yeah.
this. Someone wanted my opinion on a gaming headset.
There's
what
not a lot to
system?
support.
It depends on what system. So if you can get back to me at what system he has.
Yeah.
I'll be
If you're
more
talking
happy
about
to get
PS4, I'm not sure it's supported yet, but the Pulse Elite I know is
It's
very.
a PS4.
PS4, I would say the PX 22s.
Okay.
Or no, what was it? The 42s, I think they are.
Okay.
They're a Turtle Beach headset.
Turtle Beach,
pretty
okay.
Good. Turtle Beach headset.
Turtle Beach. And I think Sony's official one is the Pulse Elite, and I'm not sure if that's been updated to work yet, but I know that it's coming.
It's one of the first ones. It
Yeah.
has not yet.
A lot of people got that because it came free with certain things. If you got like the Sony TV, it came with that. Like so, a lot of people have these Pulse Elites, and they're like, "Can we use it?" And I'm not sure. I think it's either coming or it already
I'll tell you right
has
now,
happened.
it does not work. I know this.
It doesn't happen. It doesn't work yet. Okay.
But you know what sucks about that? And just to go off, Sony really needs to bump up their collaboration on headsets. I think they underestimate how many people like headsets. Microsoft actually has a partnership with Polk Audio.
Okay.
So if anybody is aware with audio or anything like that, they make great audio speakers and systems and everything like that. So they actually have.
One thing I can say though that's really nice is it has this little jack in the bottom of the controller. Any of those normal like iPhone type headsets that have little microphones on them, those all work.
Has to have 3 rings.
It has to, I think it has to have 2 or 3. I'm not sure. But not all work, but most do. So that's nice at least. But if you're looking for like a Bluetooth or wireless one, not all are supported yet. Another guy asked, "Do we have a great Christmas?" Yes, we did have a great Christmas. Thank you. Otherwise, the other guy after that was asking, "Do we think that the PS4 is a big jump from the PS3?" It's a little too early to say, I think.
That's not at all true at all. I mean, yes.
It is.
100%.
Killzone looks
without a doubt
beautiful. Even Assassin's Creed, which is a cool cross-platform game, you saw it for the first time and you were like, whoa.
Right. And I went from playing it on the PS3 to the...
So you had that experience.
So right away. And let me just say this. You got to remember, too, it's at the beginning of the cycle. If you have a PS3, you can go back and play Heavenly Sword. And if you have an Xbox 360, go back and play King Kong. Both games were launch titles, and at the time were the most visually stunning games that have come out. And if you go and play them now, you really won't understand what was wrong with you for thinking how gorgeous it looked at the time. And that's exactly what's going to happen with the PS4 and the Xbox One. It's not near its potential yet.
Yeah, and I would go out and say that you're not going to have the jump from early PS3 to late PS3 because PS3 was a very hard console to develop for. It was very complex as far as architecture goes. These are essentially PCs with a little bit of custom stuff in them. Xbox One and PS4.
Between the two of them, isn't there?
What was that?
There's more similarity between the PS4 and Xbox One.
There are some major similarities,
yes.
especially from a GPU standpoint and CPU actually. PS4 from like on paper, it seems a little bit more powerful, but not
as dramatically
so.
You won't see it, but if you have multiple apps running, I'll tell you right now, or if you're trying to load up a game, you'll see it performance increase on the
Yeah.
PS4 than the Xbox One, just because of the type of RAM they use.
But you're definitely gonna. I mean, I don't know if a lot of people have seen this, but if you haven't, check out the tech demo that Quantic Dream did. It was shown off at E3. If we get anywhere near that would blow me away. Like the human element in that, even the little goblin that they have in it, everything about it. Not even just because the Quantic Dream is known to focus really heavily on the humans themselves, but the thing about that tech demo is even the particle effects and whatnot that are going are very, very impressive. So I think that we're going to see some really amazing stuff.
Someone just said nerds run the world. You know what? Nerds do run the world.
I'd rather. I was
Brutes run the
about to
world.
say.
The entire world would be blown to shit.
Yeah. Actually,
So in this conversation, though,
Yes.
I have to say, right, so if you're asking, like, which console is the future now, right,
Mhm.
so I would argue it's the Xbox One.
yeah.
Right?
And why is that?
Because of the voice commands and because of the integration with the TV.
Did
and,
you
like,
realize that the
using it.
PSI can do that?
Yeah, PS4 does have voice commands.
But is it working as well as the Xbox One?
It's just not as it works just as well, but it's
Right.
not as extensive. And I'm sure
Right.
that they'll update it over time if they want to. If it turns out to be a big deal, I'm sure they'll release software patches and give it more commands.
Also, does the PS4 have the same suspend system as the Xbox One does with the
Yes.
VMware?
Yes.
But see, I've been told from what I've read is that the PS4 is more of it does still have to start up and like there is some time. While with the Xbox One, it really is just in a sleep mode where like you pause the game or suspend and you come back home like within a second.
Let me
running the game.
Yeah, let me comment on
use
this.
this,
At launch, when PS4 showed off the PS4 back in when Sony showed off the PS4 back in February, they said that the suspend resume feature was going to be a launch feature, where you could say PlayStation on and it would turn on. And then about 2 months before PlayStation 4 came out, they said we don't have that ready yet. It's coming a few months after launch. You can turn off the system with voice commands, but you can't turn it on. So that's what you're talking about, I think, right now. It's coming to PS4. It's not here yet. You can do it on Xbox One. Otherwise,
As far
PS4
as
doesn't have
suspend
near as many commands as Xbox One.
Well, sure,
His
and
thing was
it's more just in the vein of like, what's the future now?
Yeah.
It's the Xbox One. Now, give it a year, which is really when these
Right.
systems is really it's time to look at them. They're probably just be the same.
Right, and here's the thing: it's all going to come down to, and this is a question that everybody asks all the time: which is better? What would you say you would get? You got to go with what games you want to play. Both systems are going to be pretty comparable as far as graphics and everything like that. For the most part, you are going to have that 720p, 1080p issue in there somewhere a couple times, but as well as the frames per second. But more so, the Xbox One is pushed as a full entertainment system.
all in
whereas
one.
The PS4 is put out there as we are a gaming system.
First.
Sony, there's a gaming system first, and everything else comes second.
Yeah.
So that's why they have better frame rate as of the moment and better
Resolution.
That is,
resolution for
and
the
like if you want to talk about future and just like oddities, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Xbox One, you put a music CD in, works fine. PS4, you can't do that. Or is
No.
it vice
Neither
versa?
one right now.
Neither
I don't
one
think
right now?
either one. I think Xbox One might have music CDs,
Right.
but neither of them have MP3 playback support.
Which is like kind of crazy when you think about it.
Supposedly, I don't know if I believe this. It's coming to both of them. Both of them are saying that it just wasn't ready because they were focusing on other things. That seems like bullshit to me.
Right.
It's like really
You
would it be
have-
that hard to add.
You also have
But-
like two companies. Sony has what's it called? Music Unlimited, and Microsoft's trying to push their Xbox Live Music.
Yeah.
Xbox Music. So there's two companies trying to push their own.
Yeah. I think that's what it
thing,
was.
and that's honestly really what comes. Down
I think
to.
they just wanted to
Right.
take the end of this year to push their music services, and then next year they'll probably add the MP3 support and also DLNA support, where you can stream stuff to your console. Both systems don't allow that yet, but both say that it's coming. So, look back at PS3 when it first started. Look back at Xbox when it first started. You had nothing. Those things were bare bones.
Right.
And that's just what we're starting at a little
I don't
bit
know
here.
if
Not to
anybody
that much of
remembers-
an extent.
Right. Does anybody- I mean, I know. I mean, the PS4 actually, as far as the interface, had a much more extensive interface. At the
When you look at the
beginning.
crossbar
The
on
PS3, I should
PS3,
say.
yeah.
The interface at the very beginning of launch versus the Xbox, which is very blatant. It was just like almost like business cards.
They had like
Scroll
6 icons instead of like 10 that they have now.
Right.
They didn't have theme support. All you could do was
Right.
change the color of your background. The
Right.
PlayStation Store was a web store. It wasn't even.
Right.
It wasn't even like software.
Right.
Like
So the development over the years has
Yeah.
been great. So you really can't compare a system until like 3 years into development.
Yeah.
That's really the only time you can actually.
But
do
as far as future goes, I mean, I think both have a head start in a certain area. Xbox definitely has a head start in TV.
Yeah.
That's for
that.
sure.
And I'm okay with that.
But Sony, through luck or something, I don't know what you want to call it, has a head start in this. In Twitch, streaming,
Yeah,
and
and I don't know how that
broadcasting.
happened. You figure that Microsoft would try to
Xbox
make
was
it-
supposed to have it at launch,
Right.
but they failed. I don't know
Well,
what
I'm
happened.
wondering if Sony pulled a Microsoft where they
Maybe.
just bought out the rights to it. For
I don't know, because I don't think they were prepared for this. I don't think anyone saw this becoming such a big hit.
No.
And I think Sony is kind of trying to play catch up now, and hopefully they'll put some software into the PS4 devoted to streaming and not using this background music and playroom stuff. Is there something you want to say?
Wasn't that it?
I wanted to say that our friend
Can you grab me
Dom
one?
is watching and said,
Hey, Dom.
he said, nice black shirt, so he's watching me.
You could be talking about me. It's close to black.
Thank you.
Not everything's about you, Kristen.
Correct me if I'm wrong, real quick. Mark got a question. Outlast. That was the.
Outlast is a horror title that is coming very
That's
soon.
right. Okay, yeah.
It's as far as I can tell, you're just wandering through a house. There's like a really
haven't
malevolent
announced the date,
creature in the
right.
basement. It
They
looks
haven't.
scary.
They haven't announced a date for that or anything.
I don't think
right?
so. I know it's
No?
coming soon. I think it might be a PlayStation Plus game when it comes out.
Yes.
It was supposed to be at launch. It was supposed to be a launch PlayStation Plus game potentially,
Right.
and then it got pushed back, kind of like Drive Club. But when it does come out, I think it's still going to be a PlayStation Plus title. So is there anything else we want to touch on there as far as like the future of this console generation?
No, I mean, there's a lot to be. There's a lot that's unseen, a lot that we don't even know, and things that we could guess at that probably, you got to remember too. They claim that so many things were going to come to the PS3 and the Xbox 360 that didn't. There's a lot of things that they could say, oh, we're going to be doing this, and they couldn't do, and things that came out of nowhere that no one expected to actually, be fruitful.
Yeah.
So the whole thing's going to be a surprise. Give it about a year and a half to actually make your determination. If you have the money, get both systems.
Yeah,
both are
definitely.
going to have great things. And I want to get both myself.
And I know like my cousin, for instance, got Xbox One, and it's perfect for him.
I love the
He's
controller.
using all those TV functionalities.
Yeah, I love the
Entirely.
controller too.
Do you love the controller? I haven't touched the controller
I
yet,
do
but
love
I
the
hear it's
controller.
just as good as Xbox 360, which is a great controller. I think people are just really excited about the upgrade that PS4 made because it is a huge upgrade.
Yes.
I'm loving the PS4 controller as well. It's a great generation. I think both consoles are going to be really great. Microsoft had their missteps earlier on, but they rectified those for the most part.
Which we will talk about in a second.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
In fact, actually, why don't we?
You want to get into that?
Yeah, we can go. What was our next topic?
Well, we're going to get into the topic of the week, pretty much, and what we're calling it pretty much is an end-of-year review, because we're going to talk
We
about...
didn't do Blast from the Past or what could have been, yeah.
Okay, yeah, sure, let's do that.
So you want to do, which one do you want to do first?
Why don't you start with Blast from the Past?
Blast from
Do
the
you want to
Past.
play the music and see if someone can figure out what it is?
Let's do that. Do we have anything that we can...
Sure, okay.
Yeah.
Hold on one second. I'm going to play a song from this
Do we
week's
have anything to give away real quick?
Blast from the Past.
We do have one.
We have one more Blood of the
We
Werewolf.
have blood diamonds.
Blood Diamond.
Wow, that would be messed up.
What?
Blood of the Werewolf is what we have.
Yeah.
We'll give that away at the end. We have
Right, okay.
2 more codes for that, but how about we just give away one?
Yeah, we'll give away
We'll
one.
give away one code at the end for Blood of the Werewolf.
Okay.
We should discuss what people think about blood diamonds.
No, we
What?
shouldn't.
No. No.
The movie or the actual
We
Blood
can
Diamonds?
discuss the movie for like a second. It has Leonardo DiCaprio, which is great.
All right, I'm going to turn this up pretty loud for a second. Can anyone tell me what game this is from?
You have to give it a second. Just
You can tell it's an old game.
Alright, so we're gonna turn it down. We're gonna wait for you guys to catch up.
Yeah, for
But,
people that are commenting about the lag, I'm not sure if that means that the stream itself is like breaking up. But if you're talking about just the delay between us talking and you getting it, that's because of Twitch, the way they do it. If you're talking about the lag, I hear there's just a lot of people on right now.
we have a
Cool. Oh yeah, definitely. Right now, let's go to the Blast from the Past. I don't think anyone knows what this is.
Blast from the Past. This was a Sega Genesis title. If anybody had a Genesis, we're lucky enough to be one of the few. This was a great game. It was a side-scrolling shooter of sorts, very very similar to all the games of that time, but it was actually a little bit different for the way that the gun mechanics work.
Speak up.
It's actually called, I don't think anybody's going to be guessing it or anything like that. It was Gunstar Heroes. Gunstar Heroes was the game. It was a multiplayer, 2-player game. It was pretty cool. You had, I think, 4 different weapons. It was a gun, mechanics. But you have 4 different power-ups that you can go through. And that's nothing new for any games of the genre. However, you can actually combine those to be used with each other. So if you had one that was like a constant like laser stream and one that shot in like a shotgun burst, you can combine them together, and it had 3 lasers that go in different directions. But it was very, typical left to right, get your upgrades, kill the bad guys. But the boss fights were actually pretty epic.
Yeah.
It was one of the first games, especially for the generation, that had bosses that had multiple stages. So you had maybe a guy came out in this big giant walking tank. And after you shot him for a while, the legs fell off, and now he was just a regular tank.
Yeah.
And you shot him for a while, and the cannon fell off, so now it was just a guy. So it changed the way the boss mechanics actually work and your strategy for it. It wasn't like you could just sit there and keep shooting.
Yeah.
So it was actually a very fun game, and actually let you pick different areas you wanted to go into, kind of similar to Mega Man.
Okay.
How Mega Man did.
Cool. We kind of went away from this topic, but going back to what you've been playing, I know you were just telling me that you played two titles recently. Go ahead and talk about what you've been playing.
Sure. I mean, for new releases, I've been playing a bunch
Talk
of
pretty
Peggle.
loud.
I've been playing a bunch of Peggle 2. Also just kind of comparing that and going back and playing some Peggle. I mean, really, it's just more Peggle. That's really all it is.
Yeah.
I mean, the heroes and the instructors are a little bit different. So the abilities you get are different from the original instructors you had in Peggle. But if you enjoyed Peggle, it's just like a game I just want to not think and just launch a ball and kind of have it bounce around. It's pretty good. I think the challenges they might be a little bit more fleshed out of what is available.
Yeah.
But for I mean, right now on Steam, Peggle and Peggle Knights you can get for $7.50, which is a pretty good deal. And then the new Peggle game might be running at $15 and $10. Peggle 2, but it's good.
I thought it was an Xbox One exclusive.
Oh,
Peggle
that's
2.
right. So for Peggle 2, it is Xbox One right now.
So how are you playing it? Are you playing it on Xbox One then?
Yeah, so I've been playing a little bit on Xbox One.
You got a buddy that has Xbox One?
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got some exclusive rights on that for a little while. I'm not sure how long.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, I'm sure it's going to come to PC. There's no reason it wouldn't, or come to even.
It'll come to everything eventually. They're not going to give up on. I think it's PopCap, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're not going to give up on PlayStation 4 PC audiences for that. They'll come to iPad. It'll come to everything.
Yeah. But comparing to the original Peggle, I mean, it is just more Peggle with updated graphics and kind of some new features that they want in. But it is just Peggle. They haven't really changed the core gameplay at all.
Thanks, Rapid Exchange, for following us on Twitter.
Yeah. So if you do
It's
want,
for the first time.
so if you want more of Peggle, get Peggle 2 on Xbox. Point.
Nice.
We haven't taken any calls on anything yet.
Yeah, I was going
want
to save
phone
that
calls.
for the.
No.
That's one of the major point of our show, Kristen.
No, people are really mean when they call.
They are sometimes.
They're all
That's
trolls.
But it's Christmas time, so
No.
maybe people will be nice
maybe,
this week.
maybe we'll have when we
It's
really
like a
But why don't we
major
wait
part of
until
our
we-
show, yeah.
We'll
I'm
go
telling
through.
you.
We're gonna do a bunch of lists for our end of the year
Yes.
review, and after each list, I think we'll have some people call in and kind of give their additions to the list. So one more thing, I'm gonna do what could have been as well. And once again, I'm gonna play the music real quick and see if people can figure this out, because this is more recent.
Sounds like a piccolo.
Or flute or something. So I'm gonna see if anyone can give me what game this is from. A little hint, it's actually not from the game, it's from a movie called Miller's Crossing, but it was used for the trailer for this game. Mr. Famous, we actually are in podcast format. You can find us on iTunes or on our Google Drive, which is linked on the Twitch. Anybody know what this is from? I don't think anyone's going to guess it.
The dog is eating my
All right, so I don't think
body.
anyone's going to get it, but I'm actually kind of surprised. That game is that music is from The Last Guardian. That first trailer, I think, was shown off in 2009. If you're talking about the lag right now, I think PSN's just getting hit really hard. I think there's a lot of new people on PSN right now.
So if
Sorry
you guys
about
want
that.
to, you can actually watch us on the PC. You just have to type in our actual.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll look better on PC, but there's a lot of lag right now on PSN.
Twitch.tv/The Level Up Show. If you want
Yeah.
to try getting it on there, it might be better for you.
But this was used for the very first trailer at E3 for the reveal of The Last Guardian. It's like I said, it's from Miller's Crossing, which is a great movie, but they, for some reason, decided to use it with the game, and it fit really well. But the reason I'm using it for the what could have been is because this game is obviously taking a really long time to come, and it's probably going to be a PS4 title now. It's from Ueda, Team Ico, who did, obviously, Ico and Shadow of the Colossus, which are probably one of the two most recent classics in gaming. And people were really, really looking forward. really, really looking forward to The Last Guardian. So it's a disappointment that it hasn't come yet, but it is coming from what Yoshida's saying and whatnot. The thing is that it's going to be a lot different than what was originally planned. And the reason for that is that Ueda is now is not even really a part of Sony Japan anymore. He's working freelance for them. And what happened was he's kind of working on the side, and they brought in this American-Japanese guy. I think he's from Japan, but he lived in America for a very long time. And they brought him over from Sony Santa Monica to kind of whip Team Japan into shape for this game. And from what I can tell, he's really kind of changing up their development process over there, and he's changing the game a lot, I think, which might be for the best. It might not be a bad thing. But this is going to be a wildly different title than what was originally planned. And hopefully you still have those Ueda notions, like the story and whatnot. It hopefully still has the connections that it should have had to Ico and Shadow of the Colossus. And hopefully still has the same gameplay. But, they're trying to get this out at this point. You know what I mean? They're not... I'm sure at this point they've put so much money into this development process, especially not moving into PS4, that it's like, how much more money can we put into it?
What scares me at this point, though, is it's not like it was a Duke Nukem where they kind of just like scrapped whatever they had and try to remake it with the new text and everything like that. They actually, I think they're just trying to enhance what they already have in there.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of scared about that.
Yeah.
Because when that happens, it doesn't ever look good.
Well, so I would suggest this for The Last Guardian, right? I mean, at this point, it's been so delayed. If it's going to be a PS4 game, it's still going to be a year or more so out, even if not. I mean, we really don't even have.
It's a year or more out.
But could you see it going the way of like a Persona 5, which is coming out in 2014 for PS3? Because they just don't care about going to like.
I don't think so.
Well, PS4.
Yeah. Here's the thing with that game. Could they, if they're going to do that for any game, they'll probably do it for that, just because the people that want to play that game are going to play it no matter what, and it's not really going to grab the attention of a lot of random people that are like walking by like, oh, The Last Guardian, that looks like a phenomenal game, I'm going to play that. Yeah. People that are going to play that are pretty much the ones that already know they're going to play that. So if they did that, I mean, that would be a benefit. They could actually succeed with doing that, but I don't feel like they will, especially with their push on, going. It's probably going to be a multi-platform thing, or it's going to be only PS4.
Yeah,
that's my assumption.
I'm sorry to break this up real quick. We're getting a lot of lag, and I can see that we're losing a lot of people. So I want to kind of maybe speculate on this. Is it possible that since they're both watching the stream, that's killing our bandwidth as well?
I would say yes.
Maybe.
Are you actually seeing the stream on your computer right now?
Yes.
Could you pause it? Or stop it while you would still have the chat up?
I can see how that works.
Yeah, okay. Hey, Kristen, are you actually
the same thing too?
Click pause, even though you're not seeing any video.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that's. I thought that's what they were doing.
Just the chat up.
I don't think so.
Sorry, hold on 1 second, guys. We're just trying to figure out a little bit why it's going slow for you guys.
Yeah, we want to try to make this a little bit better.
There's just so much porn on the chive. And I can't stop.
Okay. I think that might help actually. Let's see if that does.
Really?
What?
Band.
What about band?
MC Burrow. Hold on 1 second, guys. He usually comments on things. Let's see if he has any input. You can probably still hear me right now. But let me just check this message real quick.
I ban people who say bad things.
Okay. Never mind.
Do me a favor, Mark.
I got this. Hold on 1 second.
We'll
be right
have
back.
Mark plug it into the show.
He probably doesn't know where we're even at.
So do me a favor, type in for the our link to
happening?
our setup here.
We'll be right back in 1 second. Hold on 1 second. We're just doing our best to fix this right now.
We are. How should a nerd look? What is your opinion of a nerd?
I don't think that there's any such thing as like a one nerd anymore. It's nerd culture is taking over the world.
When I think of a nerd, I think of you, but it's in a good way.
That's good. Thank you.
Okay.
Actually, I'm going to comment on this a little bit because I wrote an article on this. Actually, you can find it on the blog, and it was all about the Brian Gumbel story that came out a week ago, where they were talking about competitive gaming being a sport. And one of the things that happened during that was one of the commentators or whatnot said nerds, but they said it in such a derogatory way.
Right.
It's like these nerds watching this gaming event, like they're psycho. Why would they watch this? They're even crazier than the people that are participating in the event. And right after that,
I don't realize how many people are into this type of stuff.
I went on kind of a rant, and you can read my article on it. But I kind of just talked about like nerd culture is taking over the world, and the biggest movies at the box office right now are superhero flicks, or they're reboots of Godzilla next year, or this is what's happening. This is, and it's going to keep going this way. Call of Duty. If you play Call of Duty and you're a huge Call of Duty fan, I think that kind of makes you a little bit a part of the nerd culture as well.
Yeah.
You're a gamer.
Right.
You may not be the kind of gamer that we are.
Right.
But
go back. 10 years ago?
Yeah.
Anybody that played video games was considered being a little bit nerdy. You didn't have the jocks that were playing it. It was just pretty much people like us, that were sitting there playing it. And then out of nowhere. Yeah.
We should cosplay. Kristen was cosplaying last week as Batman. Batgirl, sorry. My bad.
Ghost is here.
I think part of it is that it's easier to get into games now, too.
It is a lot easier to get into games.
Well, it's a growing...
Especially the 80s, of course, only super nerds were into it because there was so much involved with it. And
plus, the systems were expensive.
Yeah.
Systems were very expensive.
Yeah, they were for the time. I mean, if you look at this, the PS4 is $200 cheaper than the PS3. And this is 7 years later. Inflation has taken effect. So
just to put this in perspective, I believe I remember right, the PS4, as far as the value of the dollar, is the same price as the Super Nintendo was.
I feel like everyone needs to speak up.
We need to speak up.
Raise your voices.
Well, I'm speaking pretty loud.
We did a mic test and we were fine.
Okay.
For the camera, maybe they don't hear us as well. We'll speak up for you guys. Sorry. But what I was going on about is they kind of looked at nerds in that old school pimply faced slobs that live in their parents' basement, and that was their
slob.
Yeah, that's what they kind of, and they were all, I'm gonna say this right up that they were all older.
Now they're well dressed, good-looking people that live in their parents' basement.
Yeah, now we're well.
All their shirts and get grease stains everywhere.
Yeah, I think they look at it like the World of Warcraft episode of South Park.
So honestly, I really do like Mr. Famous' question, when you came out of the nerd closet, because I feel like it's going to be changing with generations past us. So
I'm not even sure what that
me personally, I'm in my mid-20s, okay? But the nerd closet, I didn't really come out of until maybe sophomore, junior year of college, honestly. Because coming in, overall of high school, you're mixed with such a type of people that you just kind of get badgered. But once going into my own field and being in a college with more people that have my type of interests, I definitely just started stopped giving a shit about what I really enjoyed and what I really wanted to be into, and wearing my nerd flag proudly would fly anywhere.
And you wear right next to your rainbow flag?
Get offended? Yeah, my rainbow dash flag. Yes. By the way, ponies are awesome. But when it comes to actually pushing your influence on someone or just being comfortable in your own skin, not until really 21, 22 was I okay with just no, this is what I like, and if someone's gonna judge me for it, well, screw that. I wonder now with how technology has developed and how you can realize that you're not alone, right? I mean, growing up as a kid, you're a little bit more isolated because you don't have the access to the internet to find out there's these whole groups, communities everywhere that like the same thing as me. So I wonder if that nerd skin will come out, or your nerd flag will fly a little bit earlier, and you won't be as ashamed of it. But
can I just go out there and say
go for it.
This conversation, this topic, is kind of entertaining to me because I don't feel like you have to come out. It's not a lifestyle.
You are a nerd, I guess, right?
Right. I like movies. I like sports. I like video games. I'm not a jock. I'm not a cinemaphile, and I guess you could consider me a nerd, but I don't come out. And there's not a lifestyle. It's not like, you go somewhere. Oh, and what are you into? Oh, I'm a nerd. Oh, okay. And it's not like you say I'm a nerd and everybody knows what you are. I feel like this is a really weird conversation.
Within the last year, I remember reading some article about it was a Cosmo article of the things to run away from a guy if he says, and it was one of the number one things to run away from a guy if he says hey, do you want to come back to my apartment and play video games? And it's goddamn 2013. If your guy wants to play video games, you're not into that, that's fine. You can just be not into video games, or you can being a female, you can also like video games. It's a very sexist thing. I mean, as growing up as a kid, you just experiences forces that kind of want to normalize you to a certain ideology, and that may not be your specific nerdom of choice.
Yeah.
Nerdom.
Yeah, I saw, it's crazy to see what some people are saying on here, saying I didn't realize I was a nerd until I was 20.
I don't understand this. the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really.
I don't know. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But I think it's kind of worth taking some calls on. Do you agree?
Do you feel like that? So
Yeah,
I feel like
it's not realizing you were a nerd, but it's more of like being comfortable with just being open.
Just because people are having some interesting
Right.
comments,
Right.
And
And I
I
feel
just kind of want to see what people say
Yeah. I guess.
about like coming out as a nerd and what that means exactly. So
Right.
I just opened up the lines. It's 856
Well,
244-1656. So if you would like to call in and tell
That's
us
awesome.
about your
See what
come
Ghost
out,
Game says.
your come out of the closet or whatever as a nerd.
That's hilarious. Is that not awesome? I
What?
think it's actually Ghost Game just said that his girlfriend says that when him and his friends get together to play video games, she calls it a play date.
Okay,
I think
That's
it's actually
cute.
kind of
that is pretty awesome.
that's
actually.
cute actually. So let's
Right.
see if we got a few calls
So
about this because
Yeah,
it's interesting what people are saying about this.
I'm gonna go on the record. I think this is a dumb topic. I think it's a dumb thing just
You
because
never
I don't
ever
feel like it's.
persecuted for your interest in like video games?
Well,
I
I think
guarantee it, but people are persecuted for their interest in sports, and people are persecuted for their interest in beauty and everything. You know, it's just.
it's just interesting, like
Right.
the deception that's there. Okay, let's take a call though about this. Go ahead.
No trolls.
Hey, you're on the Level Up Show. How you doing?
Hey, am I online?
Yeah, you're on the show. We would like to know if you have any input on this whole coming out as a nerd thing.
No, the only that's Ryan, and I'm coming out of the closet.
You're coming out of the closet?
Hey,
You're
He's
a-
gay.
He's gay.
He's
Woo!
gay. He
Congratulations.
came out.
Congrats, man.
Congratulations.
Bye.
Sorry for watching.
Woo! Congrats, that person.
He just
Changing
came
the
out.
lives of
He
viewers
came
every
out
day.
on the
He
Level
came
Up
out as a
show.
closet on our show.
There's a
Groundbreaking.
for everything. He just
Fabulous.
He just popped our
So-
coming out of the closet cherry.
Yeah, that
Yay.
we're gonna take one more because that was funny. So one more, 856-244-1656. If you want to come out in any way,
I like
this
it.
is your avenue. We're giving you the spotlight to come out.
Or if you just want to chime in and take my side and say that this topic is completely
It's funny. It's
irrelevant.
quirky and it
it's,
works.
it's funny, it's quirky, but I feel like it doesn't. I mean,
But we'd rather you talk about
Right.
your experience as a nerd.
So
what
so
that
even
means
this,
exactly.
I'll go more random. Like, if there's any furries on the show,
Get
or
the
if
heck
we-
out.
No.
He
we're
went
done.
there.
We're done.
I
He
have
went there.
friends that
We're
are
done.
furries.
No, we're
What?
done.
Okay, fine.
No.
We're done.
I mean, it wasn't-
This
Too much.
will-
Pittsburgh.
Really,
Right, I will
is there
remind you
that
back
much of
myself.
difference between cosplaying and furries?
Yes.
No.
Because
Okay.
cosplay.
Cosplaying does not require me dressing up like a cat and getting fucked by people.
Alrighty.
No.
We're taking a call.
Keep it G, man.
Keep it G-rated.
I'm ruining the show.
Welcome to the Level Up Show. You are live. You are live.
Alright, we're doing it live.
We're doing it live. So tell us,
God.
when did you come out of the closet?
what did I do? What?
When did you come out of the closet as a nerd?
Really?
When did I come out of the closet as a man? No.
Are-
Just now.
Just now.
Are
Awesome.
you even a nerd? Would you consider yourself a nerd?
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
why?
probably not. I don't know.
Okay, well,
Okay.
explain that to me. Like, what's your justification there? There's a party going on over there.
Woo! We can join that part.
But I want to understand your rationale here. What or what not like makes you a nerd?
Do you think I'm a nerd?
I don't know. Are you a nerd? I figure that's why you're calling in.
The group that I'm in doesn't think I'm a nerd, so I guess that's my rationale.
Well, right off the bat, do you consider that a bad thing? You're kind of like it seems like you're almost like a little hesitant to call yourself a nerd because you feel like it's a bad thing.
I don't know. I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't know. I didn't think this was real.
This is real.
No, it's not real.
This
We're all
is real
robots.
life.
We're all actually robots. We're employed by Sony.
But okay, well, it doesn't seem like you know for sure what you are yet. But maybe someday you will.
I feel like this conversation sucks.
But thank you for calling in.
Thank you.
I hate this so much. Can we please go to something else? I hate this conversation.
Shutting it down.
Awful.
Shut it down.
I'll
Okay.
stop ruining the show. Apologies.
I think
I thought
you're-
that was
I think
interesting.
you're interesting.
I thought that was amusing.
I think
Um,
everyone should have input.
Ooh, should we take it?
Go for it,
man.
It's already in process.
It's the charm.
It's already in process.
Out of my hands at this
Why don't you
point.
get ready to shut that down? All right, we're taking one more call.
We're shutting it down.
Welcome to the Level Up Show. You are live.
Awesome. How you guys doing, man? This is Mr. Famous from the chat room, but you guys are calling the show.
Mr.
Hey, Mr.
Famous.
Famous, how you doing? All right, you're the last caller on this subject because we're shutting it down after this. But do you consider yourself a nerd, Mr. Famous?
Heck yeah.
Okay, and you're proud of that. You can tell you're proud.
Oh, definitely, man. Ever since I was younger, man, I've been in the anime, reading comics, playing games, all of the sports as well. But
Okay.
I camped out for consoles,
Uh-huh.
so I embrace it.
Did anyone look at that as a bad thing, or were you were just like another guy?
Do girls like you?
Yeah, I was just like another guy, man.
Yeah.
You wouldn't tell until you talk to me, but all my friends are the same way. All my friends are the exact same way. We've all done the same thing. We've all camped out. We all talk about the latest manga.
What do
Yeah.
the ladies think?
Comics or anything like that. So
Now, do you hear?
by the time I did it, it seemed to be like socially acceptable, I guess.
Okay.
Right, and now it's changed.
Yeah, no, I agree
Now,
with that.
do you mention this to women when you're talking to them for the first time, or is it something that you choose to when they ask what you're into, do you say, oh well, I like to drive around and I work, or do you say, oh, I like playing video games, I'm into manga? What is your?
I'll mention it from the get go because if they don't like it, I need to tell them from the get. I'm pretty straight up. I'll tell people the good things and the bad things from the first time.
You gotta tell the right way. Listen, I read my books from the back to the front, all right, and you gotta have to deal with it. That's exactly how you gotta start with it.
Yeah, I'm on your side, Mr. Famous. I think that's the way it should be. And I think I'm kind of similar to you. Like when I was in high school, I did art, and I was known as a smart guy. But I played baseball, but I was really into video games.
You were a good pitcher for a while.
I had like a whole range of stuff. But when people found out that I was really into video games, they were really surprised. Like, you know what I mean? Like they looked at me and they're like. They for some reason they didn't think I would be into video games just because I didn't wear glasses, and I guess I wasn't I don't know. I just didn't have that look, I guess. They thought that if you were a nerd and if you liked video games, they had a certain look about you, and it's just I feel like that's finally changing.
Yeah, I was the guy where I would invite people over to my house whenever I got the new console, and people were like, "Oh man, can I come over your house and check it out?"
Yeah.
And I would always tell people about it, so I kind of turned it into an event.
Yeah.
And just made it kind of cool, but I'm glad I'm that way, man. It's cool. Everywhere in the world. I put that in the chat earlier.
Yeah.
There you go.
You're awesome, Mr. Famous.
Yeah,
so,
thank you.
Thank you for calling in.
All right, you guys take care. Have a good night.
You too.
As well,
Yeah.
man.
Nice guy, nice guy.
Nice guy.
See, third time's a charm.
And we're done.
All right, we shut down the line for right now, but we're going to open up again later. We're going to move on to our top lists of the year, kind of our end of the year review. You can start, Mike, if you want.
Well, okay. So we have a couple of lists that we have for the year's coming to an end. There's been a lot of stuff that's happened. We decided that we had to make a few lists, just like everything else that's going around.
Every other site's doing it. Why not us?
Yeah, right. So I think we're gonna start off with our the top 3 games of the year. And each of us made our own.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go off, and some of these you're gonna see lapping if you've been with us. I know Ghost Games has. He'll remember the show where we had the top games of the generation.
Entire generation. Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's gonna happen. You're gonna have a lot of overlap just because even though they're fresh on our minds, some of these games, until the very end, really push the limits of the system.
2 of the games in my top 3 were also in my top 10 of the generation.
One of mine.
One of yours.
mine.
Okay. So
Yeah.
go ahead. Start from the bottom now.
So I'm going to start from the bottom. So at number 3, I'm actually going to put Splinter Cell Blacklist. Complete surprise to a lot of people. There's a lot of diehard fans for Splinter Cell, but for the rest of society, I think it's kind of one of those genres that's really just fallen off. People hear Splinter Cell and they're like, yeah, it's a game. But Splinter Cell...
It's a game.
Yeah, it's a game. But Splinter Cell Blacklist came out, and they really changed the way that the actual, story works. So there's 3 different play modes. You can go full assault, you can go all stealth and not kill anybody, or you can do a mix of both. There's multiple ways to take on an area.
Which it seems like the direction Metal Gear Solid 5 is going in.
Right. And I'm actually, that's why I think I had, me, I don't really play the Metal Gear Solid games. I think I might play 5 just because it seems to be more of what I like.
Yeah.
I like having the option to kill people or not. Metal Gear Solid, if you kill someone, you feel like you get punished very quickly.
Yeah, it takes away from your final score at
Right.
the end, which gives you an emblem
Right.
of sorts. Yeah.
But on topic, Splinter Cell Blacklist, and then on top of that, they had upgrades, so you can purchase different weapons and different suits and different ways you do things. You actually have a flying fortress base essentially, and you upgrade that. You can upgrade the front of the ship that gives you better radar from the map. So they added a lot of replay and overplay value over and over again. Plus the multiplayer was great, so that was a complete surprise.
Yeah.
So why don't I actually go back and forth? Why don't we give you your number 3?
My number 3?
Yep.
Okay, I'm trying to remember. Okay. Oh yeah, Ni no Kuni: The Wrath of the White Witch. That was this year, and it was one of the few Japanese RPGs of this year, especially one of the few traditional turn-based, old school world map, get into your airship, get into your boat, type RPG. And that's what I like so much about it. I know that there's other ones out there that are a little bit more obscure, but Level 5 did Ni no Kuni, and I kept seeing it from the start because Studio Ghibli also worked on it, and I'm a big Studio Ghibli fan. I love all the Miyazaki films. So the art style and whatnot just grabbed me, and then I picked it up, hearing that it was great, and it brought me back to the Final Fantasy 9, 8, 7 days that I had missed for a really long time. Even 10 didn't have the world map and the airships and whatnot the way that 7, 8, and 9 did. And just everything about this game, the music, the cel-shaded graphics, it was a beautiful game.
You said the gameplay reminds you a lot of like combining Kingdom Hearts with Pokemon.
Yeah, definitely, because you have something in the game called familiars. And right off the bat, you get kind of like almost like Pikachu at the beginning of Pokemon. You're kind of tasked with one familiar at the beginning, and then from there you're finding hundreds of them, and you can level them up. You can feed them certain things to make them change in a different way. They evolve in the same way Pokemon evolve. They have three different. Actually, they have 4 different evolutionary ways they can go. So there's a lot of what do you want to call it, customization in that regard, and everything about that game. There wasn't really any flaws to it. It had a ton of side quests. I spent probably 80 hours with it. It had the almost like the golden saucer in Final Fantasy VII. It had something like that where you had like a poker area you could go to. It had like different games you could play to earn money. And then there was also alchemy. This game had everything. You can make new potions. You could learn new magic spells. You used the wand in the game. Like you actually had a wand similar to Harry Potter where you would move it in certain ways within the game to do certain spells. That game, like I haven't thought about it actually until right now, and I'm remembering now how much I loved it. That was a really great game. So that's my number 3 top.
Was Level 5 the same company that did Scribblenauts?
No, Level 5 did Dark Cloud 1 and 2. They did Rogue Galaxy.
I'm thinking of something else. I can't remember.
A few other things too. They're a great RPG company.
I'm actually going to say, why don't you go to your number 2, because I want to go back, because my number 2 and your number 1 are the same.
Yeah, that's true. So my number 2, I talked about this earlier, is Gone Home, and that just happened a week ago. And I guess a lot of people could say that's because it's fresh in your mind, but it just blew me away. I hadn't played a PC game in a really long time, especially a point-and-click game, and I'm a sucker for those 2-3 hour experiences. It turns out now. Journey was my favorite game last year, and now this is in my top of my list this year almost. So if you heard me talk about it earlier, I don't want to say too much, but it's pretty much a kind of an eerie mystery where you're going through a house trying to figure out where your family and your sister have gone, and it oozes atmosphere. It has great music. It's simple gameplay, but that's not the point. We talked about it earlier. It's an experience. So if you're looking for a 2-3 hour experience that will really you'll become immersed into, it's a great game, and I think it's still $10 on Steam. So pick that up if you haven't yet. That's my number 2 of the year.
So my number 2 and Drew's number 1, we can both talk about this at the same time.
Yeah.
Is Last of Us. I know maybe some of you out there are a little annoyed that that's my number 2. And I can understand that. But,
at least it's on your list.
It's on my list, and for rightfully so, I think. I mean, the game was relying heavily on the story, which is not a bad thing. And me and you can constantly argue about that, which we do. But it relies solely, I think, as succeeding on its story, which is great, and it was a phenomenal story at that. No idea what that was. But the story itself was just phenomenal. Yeah. The gameplay was a little repetitive or a little, cliche as far as adventure games.
I'm going to disagree with that, but yeah.
I know what you're trying to say, and I know exactly what scene you're going to talk about when you say that you don't think it's repetitive or cliche. But
if that's the only thing you think is repetitive about the game, and you're talking about like the climbing up ladders.
No,
and stuff
it's
like
not. It's not. But it's just it's the same. It's a very it's hide, plan out your moves, and then strike. It's high, plan out your moves, and I'm fine with that. It's fun gameplay, but but it is repetitive. It's nothing new. It's nothing different. It's something that hasn't been done before. And
like again, I don't know if I would completely agree with that, but
no,
I think as far as like survival stealth goes, a lot of it would be called a survival action game, which you don't see very often. It wasn't survival horror.
Batman.
Survival action. I don't know about that.
Anyone that's played
I know you're
Batman
stealth and you're hiding up on the gargoyles. Yeah, I played Arkham.
Okay, it's take Arkham Asylum or Arkham City, combine it with Metal Gear Solid or Uncharted, and bam, you have The Last of Us for gameplay.
But this is stealth to another area, and of course you don't have to play it that way. But if you played it on hard, or I think maybe there's an extreme level where you don't have the sonar or whatever you want to call it, the listen mode, where you can hear the footsteps of the clickers or even the humans. That's the thing about the game is it's each experience with humans or clickers is entirely different because you can play it however you want to play it. And I think a lot of people went into the game expecting a lot of clicker stuff, but about halfway through, you're almost dealing entirely with humans. And every time you deal with them, it's a different experience, especially because how you decide to go about it could affect how the humans react, what they say. They might run and beg for their lives. Like there's a lot of and it affects you as a person. Like I know the first time that I killed all the humans and I got down to one last guy and I smashed him over the head with a shotgun. And he fell down the ground and he started begging for his life.
Right.
I had a moment where I was like, I wondered what would happen if I didn't kill him. I decided not to. I was too. I didn't think he would let me live. I didn't think he would just run away. But I kept wondering, it's like, what if I didn't kill that guy? Would he have ran for his life and said, thank you? Like, what would he have done?
And here's the thing, and I don't think that the system was made to do it. And I'll tell you right now that the system mechanics as far as Ellie's AI and enemy AI were phenomenal. So don't take this the wrong way of me saying that the AI in the game wasn't great. The AI in the game was phenomenal. I loved it. Yeah. But I don't feel like the game was programmed to let him run away and nothing happened. I think it was programmed to where if you didn't kill him right then, you would walk away and he would kill you anyway.
Yeah, no matter what. I think I just want to give you that little moral choice for a moment.
Right, but I feel like and I think that's something that would maybe have swayed my view on it a little bit better is if you could have those choices or if you can make truces or something like that. There was actually, I don't know if you remember, years ago, the three of us actually were sitting at an Applebee's and we were talking about our ideas on a zombie game based on, what was that Will Smith movie?
I Am Legend.
I Am Legend, yeah.
Remember how we were talking about how it would be cool if you could start, it was region specific. Right, but it was region specific, where if you had your own area, you started there, and you meet other people, and you could build up your fortress and decide to have truces or anything like that. Do you remember this at all?
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you had a game where it allowed you to make the choices of, I can partner with these people, granted, I know everybody's going to be an enemy to you, everybody wants to kill you in this game, and that's the whole point of the show, but, the game. But at the same time, if they had those mechanics, I think it would actually have changed stuff.
Yeah, I think things did change somewhere. They kind of said this. Maybe like 2 months before The Last of Us came out, they said that it wasn't ready because it wasn't fun to play. They literally came out and said this game is not fun to play. And it turned out that the reason it wasn't fun to play was because the AI was too smart. They dumbed down the AI right before they released it because they said that they were too difficult. Like they would flank you so realistically, and you would die almost every time because there was a lot more of them than they were of you. And if you had a bunch of smart people, like a group of 10 people, they're gonna kill you every time. Like if you have them smart enough. So they had to dumb down the AI. They had to make it so they weren't flanking you every time, and I'm sure they removed some of those instances that people kind of were hoping for. I remember in the first reveal trailer, which takes place in the hotel, I think.
Yes.
That plays out differently there than it did when the game came out. The AI was a little bit more interesting, like the way they would run away, or the way they would flank you.
You can actually get it to play the same way.
Kind of, but they definitely did remove some stuff from the AI, and it sounds like they thought because it wasn't fun with them being as intelligent as they were. And they probably could have found a way to make it work, but it sounded like they were kind of at that last.
But let's go on to why this game was on my number 2 and why it was.
I think we both know why it's there.
I mean, they don't.
It's the same. Well, I'm saying it's the same reason.
Right. The story was absolutely astounding as far as giving you that emotional connection to characters. Yeah. I told multiple people this. If you don't at least tear up or feel a pang in your heart within the first 30 minutes, there is absolutely something wrong and you don't have a soul.
So I have an impression then, right? Some people play games for mechanics and not for the story.
Yeah.
And with your mention of talking about like how they changed the gameplay to be able to accommodate like it was too difficult at first. Do you think the gameplay was exciting throughout the entire course of the game, or were you just more at some point annoyed because it was blocking?
I think we disagree with this, but I thought it was exciting the whole way through. Because I played it on hard with no listen mode, and every experience was like you're on the edge of your seat because you don't know where the hell they are, and it was very easy to get killed, and you had all these weapons at your disposal, and you had to figure out how to use them correctly. You were always like trying to find ammo because you were always low on ammo. You didn't have this. You weren't low on ammo. I think you said all the time. I was low on ammo.
Not always, but there were multiple times where I was.
I was low on ammo all the time to the point where it's like I can't use my gun here. I've got to figure out how to do this situation using the bat, or whatever. And I'd find myself always using the bottles, sneaking around, no listen mode, finding where they were, throwing a bottle, getting them, and then I'll go up and break their head off with the bat, and then I'll go run away again and try and get my composure back and
let's just put in there. I did that on purpose, just to add the difference to the gameplay, just to add that little twist, just so I wouldn't feel like I'm using guns way too much.
So that's the thing. You only got that experience because you played on the hardest set.
I got that experience as well, though.
What difficulty did you play on?
I played on, I think, the normal.
You played on normal.
I always play games, I think, on normal difficulty.
You didn't get the no listen mode experience.
Right. I always play a game on normal difficulty because I feel like that's what the developer of the game intends for you to play it on. I feel like they want to give you more of a challenge with hard mode and easy modes for those people that just want to...
Again, I think this is that's usually correct. I agree, but I think this is actually an instance where that's not true. Because if you remember back when they were showing off anything, it wasn't until about 6 months before the game came out that they finally showed off listen mode.
Right.
And the reason they did that is, again, because the difficulty was too high.
Right.
They wanted everyone to play it without listen mode.
Right.
And that's why they still included it in hard and extreme mode, but they were like, we got to take it out. We have to put listen mode back into normal mode because anyone who plays on normal, which is most people, they're going to have a hell of a time and they're probably going to get frustrated.
But again, the game, have you played the game yet?
I've seen it played. I haven't played it.
What have you seen played? Have you seen a lot or just like one area?
About 2 hours.
Pausing. People want us to shout level up. 1, 2, 3. Level up!
All right. Scare the dog.
Interjection.
Well, that was interesting.
Okay.
So you saw 2 hours, and you really didn't get the experience out of it that you need to in order to understand why it would be on a list like this. Yes, you're right, and this is the conversation that me and Drew have had multiple times, including on the show, of what makes a game a great game. Is it story? Is it gameplay? Is it a combination of both?
Yeah. Or can it be just the one? Can it just be one where the gameplay is really not that great, but the story is so good?
Phenomenal. Right. And so this is one of those instances where the gameplay is good, entertaining, and sustaining, but does it make it alone? If the story wasn't as good as it was, would it be one of my games of the year? No, I don't think it would.
No,
and that's exactly what I'm going on.
As a Naughty Dog game, I think I went in expecting that. I was like, I know I'm going to love this game, but I think it's probably the best told story I've ever seen in a video game. That doesn't mean
he's watching it on surround sound, so we yell level up.
but I'm not going to say it's the best story ever in a video game, but I think it's the best told. It's the best told story I've ever seen in a video game. Just the way it's presented. She watched every minute of it.
And you got to remember too, for those of you that don't know, this was actually all the cutscenes, especially, were all acted out by people, by individuals with mocap.
But not facial mocap. That's one of Naughty Dog's main talents, is that they're so amazing at animating just through, what do you want to call it? They do it themselves. It's all manual. I don't know. They don't use motion capture for the faces.
Awesome.
They don't have the little those little balls on the face like Quantic Dream does for Beyond Two Souls and for Heavy Rain. Those use facial motion capture.
Right.
Naughty Dog, what they do is they watch back the video of the people acting, and they go frame by frame, and they manually change the eyebrows and the lips and the flare of the nostrils and the little wrinkles in the face, and they manually do this for every single cutscene to give it still. I don't think they want to go hyper realistic, and I think it's smart, because a lot of people keep asking, why is this game not going into the Uncanny Valley when games like Beyond Two Souls, which is beautiful, sometimes goes in that area? You don't want to go into Uncanny Valley because you start to have this oh my god, there's something off.
Creepy,
it's really close to real, but it's
when Beowulf came out?
Yeah.
That creeped the hell out of me.
Naughty Dog games never go in that direction, I think, because they hand animate everything. And it gives it that little bit of unrealistic. Not in a bad way. It's like surreal. It's not quite, it's stylized, but it's so close to real that if you look at a still image, it's like, wow, that looks really close to real, but when you watch it in motion, you still feel like you're playing a game.
I think Beyond Two Souls, though, did a really good job with the facial motion capture without getting it into that...
Much better than Heavy Rain.
Yes.
Yeah. They're getting better at it, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do on PS4. Like I said earlier, the tech demo that Quantic Dream did for PS4.
I think it all sound right now.
That's sure. Well, just...
let's just keep going.
Right, I mean...
well, let me just say this. Can people hear us right now? Comment if you can hear me right now.
Baxter, bark twice if you're in Milwaukee.
Yeah. Anybody? X-Oil, do you hear us right now?
Alright. So, but that being said, too, I mean, let's just go in. The story itself, I mean, from beginning to end, like I said, if you don't get that emotion within the first few minutes, and then throughout the whole game, you have that tension, that tension never leaves, and the gameplay definitely does help throughout the story to build that tension and keep the tension there. The times where you're supposed to be a little bit more relaxed, like when you're, right before you meet your brother, does that give away anything?
No, it's okay.
You have to swim to get the part for, it's
I think
calming, it's relaxing, you're swimming in
best example of that is when you get out of the sewers with the two brothers, Sam and
what's his
Kevin. No, it's the two brothers. You find them and you go through the sewers, and then you get out and you go through an entire town where you find an ice cream truck and you find dogs and all this kind of stuff. And all it's doing is bringing you back down for a moment.
The brothers never heard of an ice cream truck, and Ellie's showing up. And they're phenomenal.
You play darts in the one house. Right. It's this moment where they bring it back down, and then I don't want to tell what happens, but at the end of each season, something bad happens. Right. And of course, that's what happens after that moment. They bring it back down just so they can destroy you, and they do it on every season. Right. And Winter especially, I think, is probably the most intense of them all.
Definitely.
Maybe I should put that in my memorable moments. Winter is just, I felt.
Was it fall? When mine was fall.
Winter for me was the most. Winter is where Ellie. Spoiler alert for anybody. If you don't want to hear what I'm about to say about Last of Us, pause it or mute it or something.
Like give them a second.
I'm giving you a second.
Yeah. Let's count. How long's the lag on this? Do you think?
Maybe like
20 seconds.
Either way, they can hear me. So in Winter, Ellie is taken, and she's taken by a certain character named David, who you're not quite sure is good or bad, because this is just an environment where people they're trying to survive, and that doesn't make you a good or bad person. But so at that moment, you're kind of judging David a little bit, and he takes her, and that entire sequence where Joel eventually has to try and get Ellie back, that entire sequence, and then right afterwards going into spring, I felt like I couldn't get off of that. Like coming out of winter, I was like, I'm still like, oh my god, I feel so weird right now. Like I don't feel right.
Mine was and you saw it through the game, and it's gonna be developed. And those of you who haven't played it yet, I'm not gonna give away anything. You really need to play it to see what we're talking about. You see the change in Ellie's personality from that.
Winter especially affects her.
My moment really was fall. Just right before that, leading up to
when you go into the university.
Right at the end of it. Yeah. Right. What happens right at the end?
If you played it, you know what we're talking about.
Right when you at the end. What happens right at the end of fall, right before it goes into winter? Right then I was like, no.
I wish we could talk about it more in depth.
And I don't want to talk about it, but I'm fine with that. But if anybody wants to talk about it, they're more than welcome to have their own comments. I'll have a conversation with you.
The thing is, everyone's already done spoiler casts for Last of Us. We're not doing anything new if we do that. But I don't want to spoil it for anyone that hasn't played it.
That's your number one. Yeah. That's my number two. We talked about this a lot.
Yeah. What's your number one?
My number one is actually going to be Grand Theft Auto 5. And you know what?
That was your favorite game of the generation, according to the 1 week. So
was it actually?
It was either that or Fable. I can't remember.
I can't remember which it was. And you know what? I don't. It's funny because if you remember us talking about this before the game came out, I kept saying I wasn't going to get it. I remember.
I remember.
I kept saying I wasn't going to get it. I hate Grand Theft Auto games. I love Red Dead Redemption, so it's not anything I have against Rockstar. I love Bully. But I don't like Grand Theft Auto games. They get very boring within the first week and a half, 2 weeks. I find, I play the story for a little bit, don't care, find, a bunch of grenades and a rocket launcher, climb to the top of, fly to the top of a building and just kill random mass amounts of people, it's no other. But Grand Theft Auto 5, the story is what I'm more so talking about. And I'm not even talking about the online, because believe it or not, the online is actually, was what actually got me to want to play this game. It's what I kept talking about.
And it turned out not to be
And it's not as great as I thought it was going to be. But
let me stop you for a second there. And I think that was a decision that they made. I think one of the reasons they did put online in it at the start is because I think they knew it would actually bring down the review scores if they did.
I think they actually wanted people to play the story mode first for a while.
I will say though, I think that if the online mode was in it at launch, it would not have gotten near the scores that it got. And it should. And I don't think that's something that should have happened, because I think they should be judged as standalone things. But people would have took it as one whole package, and they would not, and they would have let the online mode take down.
Let me go back into it. Like I said, I hate Grand Theft Auto games. I got really bored of them very quickly. So for me to say that I really enjoyed and played to the end a Grand Theft Auto game, and let alone made it my game of the year, is a very big step. I feel we had this conversation a couple times. the gameplay is true to Grand Theft Auto, so it's nothing different there. And that's nothing I ever had a problem with. The gun mechanics have been improved and everything like that. The driving mechanics, the flying mechanics, everything's been tweaked and improved that you would expect in a new game of for a new generation. But what really stood out to me is the character development that you got in this one, and because you had 3 characters, and because it was so interesting, and the levels, because the world was so massive. And the one thing that I knew right away from the get-go was going to actually make this a game for me was I fooled around with a couple of the main missions for a little while.
Yeah.
And I grabbed a Mustang, or I think it was a Charger. I can't remember what the car was. Yeah, I found. And ripped the guy out of.
Yeah.
But yes, so I decided to, for whatever reason, drive to what I assumed to be a very big mountain in the game. And this is I just started playing this too. So I started driving up. Driving up the mountain, and I get to the top, and I just want to see this view that everybody was talking about was, great for the game. The drop in there was very little of. So I get to the top, and I start panning over. I pan from the left of the beach, and I pan over top of the city. I'm like, wow, this is gorgeous. And then I'm like, all right, sweet, this is so high. I can't believe how. Holy shit! And then all of a sudden, nowhere, I just see the giant mountain in the background, and it was then that I realized just how massive this game is. It took me, I think I remember, it took me 38 minutes just to drive around the whole mountain. Now, I'm not the best driver in the game, so I kind of crashed here and there. But still, the fact that it took me that long just to drive around.
I think when you get into the airplane, that's when it's especially like,
oh
holy
my god,
shit, this is huge.
And the amount of stuff that you can do in the game is just phenomenal. The stories, I actually like some of the side missions.
One of the things I'm interested in though is did they nail it when it comes to 3 characters at once? Like you're able to back out and switch into character, and they're supposed to be doing their own thing when you go into them, and then did it actually? Is it what they said it would be?
You came over to my house when I was playing the one. I was switching back and forth, and I had actually at one point we decided we were going to try to drive up the tallest mountain in the game.
Yeah.
And I kind of messed that up. So instead of sitting there and trying to get back and getting a better car, I switched to another character, and I think it was Trevor. And Trevor was pissed off at somebody, and you zoom in on him, and you just see him freaking out and just getting a guy and flipping him over, off of a bridge into the road.
Okay.
And basically killing him.
Yeah.
And everything like that. So that happened, and then I think Franklin was in a strip club when I switched over to him. So every character is doing their own thing.
Yeah.
You can actually even call up the characters and hang out with them.
Yeah.
Which is actually kind of a cool little.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. That's cool.
So if I'm not doing it, if I don't feel like doing a mission, I can call up Franklin, and you can choose if you want to go play golf or go to a strip club or
cool.
So it's actually a different thing, but yes, they nailed the story for each character individually.
There was a beautiful moment when we switched to Trevor from Franklin, and Trevor was like, his pants were down in the park, and then this guy is running away from him, and then you have control of Trevor. And it's like, who knows what's happening right now?
Right. You don't know ever what's happening because they have their own
Those
lives.
games. Trevor was wearing a dress passed out when I switched to him.
Right. There's so many different things that they can be doing, and Trevor is one of the best characters. And the funny thing is, just like Grand Theft Auto, the secondary characters are some of the best ones. I can't remember the guy's name, but the one that's supposed to represent Juggalos, complete meth head, completely whacked out of his mind, is easily one of my favorite characters in the entire game.
I just wanted to, someone was asking when we're on. We're typically on Sundays, but I think next week is going to be the first start of us going to Saturday. And we're not just doing this for us. I think it'll be better for you guys as well. Sunday nights, and I think this is happening right now, a lot of people are watching football right now. They don't want to watch a gaming stream. They want to watch football.
Or there's even, when Walking Dead comes on.
Yeah. Sunday nights have a lot of great television shows. They have football. So I think it'll be better for us to do Saturdays at 10. I think we're going to start doing Saturdays at 10. I find that we always start to get a little bit more people later, actually. And we're Eastern Standard Time, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So that's going to be starting next week, I think. But you can follow us on Twitter, and we'll update you throughout the week, letting you know for sure what day we'll be on. But right now, put it in your calendar for Saturday at 10. Otherwise, let me just quickly share some follow information. If you want to follow us on Twitter, Mark will put it up right now. It's at The Level Up Show on Twitter. Level spelled LVL. And if you want to find us on Facebook, it's facebook.com/The Level Up Show. That's spelled exactly how it sounds. And if you want to see our blog where we put some articles and reviews, you can find us on the Level Up Shows blogspot.com. And we have reviews up for Resogun and Knack so far. We're going to have a Gone Home review coming up, and also a Tearaway review coming up. And I think Mike eventually might review Ratchet & Clank.
I just need to get to it.
Yeah, he's been busy. It's the holidays. We're busy. So we're going to try and keep that updated a lot going forward, especially when it comes to big news stories throughout the week that we want to cover on the show. That way, if you miss it, you can jump onto the blog while watching the show and see what we discussed and get a little bit more info maybe on that.
So why don't we when we go to we'll go through the list and we'll take calls afterwards. Okay?
Yeah, the next list.
So the next list is the top 3 surprises of 2013.
Why don't you start with number 3? I'll do number 2.
You want to do number 2? Okay. Well, wait, there is no number 3. There's 4.
Well, start at the bottom. And then
start
go
at the bottom. How about? I feel like this should be up there. So let's start off with Steambox, actually.
Steambox, yeah.
Steambox. I mean, it was a surprise. It was cool. And I like it. I like the idea of it, but price-wise, I don't see why I'm going to be as excited for it.
I think it's just been a long time coming, and it finally was announced. And I think especially when the controller was shown off, everybody was like, "Whoa, what is this? This is different." What's your opinion on Steambox and the controller?
I mean, the controller is an interesting venture of what they're going to be doing with it. I mean, it really depends on just how it people accept it and how they compare it to the PS3 and the PS4. I mean, it's obviously going to be probably above the Wii U controller, which apparently is a pile of shit. I haven't had a chance to get to the new Wii U controller, but I've just heard that it's just way behind what it should be. It's an interesting proposition, but it's still just why do I need this thing when I have a PC?
Yeah, and that's my whole thing. That's why I don't want to make it a high point on surprises.
It has its own. It has SteamOS, right? It has its own OS.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But you can't do anything else on it, right?
I'm not sure about that, actually.
I'm not sure, but
does it have its own office of sorts and applications?
Am I wrong? I mean, you guys are gonna have to correct.
Maybe someone can answer that.
We're not. We're PS.
Thank you, Silent Scope.
Yes. So I don't feel like. I think it's its own Linux operating system in a way, where it's not as extensive as a normal PC, but it does have PC features.
Okay, that's cool.
But this is one of the reasons why I'm not that psyched for it.
Yeah.
Because if you look,
why not just play it on your PC?
Right, you can just play it on your PC, and those are the PC gamers out there. They constantly denounce consoles all the time, and that's fine. That's your prerogative. But why would you then make a machine geared towards those who hate machines that aren't their own personal PCs?
I mean, what's the price on it? I actually don't know.
I mean, it depends on who makes it. There's
no price announcement.
There's no price announcement, but I think if I remember right, the first one actually was rumored to be around $450, $500.
Okay.
That'd be more in the Wii range, right? $150.
That's not what I heard.
Oh, if it's
there's no
that low, that's great.
There's multiple Steam boxes. Each company can make their own.
Either way, I think it deserves to be on there as a surprise this year. Let me see here.
How about we go to number B?
To B. Okay. How about LucasArts shuts down? I think this came out of nowhere. I think for most people, and especially because there's some games announced like Star Wars 1313, which got canceled from that.
For those of you that don't know who LucasArts is,
you should.
You should, especially if you've been in video games for a while. But any Star Wars games, pretty much.
But we're not even talking about Star Wars. We're talking about Escape from Monkey Island. We're talking about the Monkey Island games. We're talking about Grim Fandango. Right?
Thank you. One of my favorite games of freaking all time.
LucasArts did a lot of really great.
Blast from the Past. I got my new one.
Yeah, that could be next week's Blast from the Past. Woo! They did a lot of great games. LucasArts was not just Star Wars. Right now, that's what they kind of are. And what happened was a lot of people were looking forward to Star Wars 1313, especially when they found out after the fact that it was a Boba Fett game. Right. People have been waiting for it for so long, and then it's like, oh my god, you dangled this out in front of us and then took it away. Supposedly someone else might take it over, maybe EA, I guess, because they now have the contract of sorts for 10 years.
I'm okay with this for the sheer fact of Battlefront.
Yeah.
I am completely okay as long as it's not Battlefield style Battlefront. Okay. I'm okay with it. But
Battlefront is developing, isn't it?
They're going on the DICE engine,
but DICE has
the Frost engine,
DICE has made other games besides Battlefield, and I'm okay with it.
The new Star Wars game is done by, I think, DICE. EA is the publisher. DICE is their team that is working on Star Wars Battlefront, and they're using the Frost engine, which is a beautiful engine.
Yes. One of my favorite games of all time. So that's that game.
So
anyway, so they closed.
EA is not the devil. Yeah. Okay, let's just put that out there. A lot of people
like them better than Activision.
Yeah, I like them better than Activision. I think they're right there with Ubisoft.
Right.
They care about money, like anyone, but they're big enough that the people kind of think they're the devil. But they're not.
Why wouldn't you think EA is the devil? That's a good question.
I wish I could turn the music down, but we can't.
Right. Well, have you? Well, here's the thing. Do you know the history of EA as far as consumer relations, or are you just going off of games they made?
Can you look at BioWare and what they did with the?
Yeah, I think people look at that.
Totally.
EA has been known to completely have no care or a complete disregard for the benefit of its customers. I guess you could say.
I guess so.
They used to be all about their bottom end, and that's actually why. That's actually why.
What do you mean bottom line?
Bottom line.
Bottom end. I'm sorry. Bottom end.
We can talk about the bottom end too. That's fine. But they only cared about that, and that's why actually West and Zampella, who were known for their great games, actually fled to Activision. Which is why it was funny when they fled back to EA. It's one of those things where
some people just don't belong with major publishers.
Right.
That's just the way it is. They're gonna take Mass Effect. They're gonna put it on PlayStation as well as Xbox. They're not gonna alienate that crowd, and they're gonna change it up. They're gonna add an online mode because people like online, and it keeps you in the game, and it gives you DLC to get people to pay more money on.
Right.
Like that's what's gonna happen.
Right. Regardless, it was one of those things where EA was always about making sure that they made money first and then please the customers later. And that's why everybody had a big issue with EA for a long period of time.
Yeah.
But now they've come around and they've tried to rectify.
You know what? They take chances here and there. I think Mirror's Edge was a real good example of that.
Yep.
And they're making a Mirror's Edge 2 now. So they take chances here and there, and you'll be seeing more of that. But hopefully their Star Wars games are great.
I'd say our D is actually our A, in my opinion.
Okay.
So the top 3 surprises of 2013.
That's false. That doesn't mean we have 0 people. Sometimes it does that where it says we have 0, but that's not true.
Just kicks up again. But one of the bigger surprises too was Microsoft when they came out at the beginning of the year, or came out at E3 and let Sony essentially trick them into making them assume that they were going to be doing this DRM thing. And Microsoft came out saying, okay, your machine always has to be on, and Kinect has to be always connected, and it has to check into the online system, 24/7.
Yeah, every 24 hours.
And then out of nowhere, it was like. Somebody sat there laughing like, suckers, didn't do it. And
that was
Microsoft
one of the biggest moments this generation.
Oh my God,
when Sony came out, and not only did they, well, it was really funny actually, because they gave bad news and good news at the same time, but the good news was so great that people didn't care. Because they came out and said that you can play whatever you want on this system. Nothing has changed from before.
Right.
Used games are yours to use in the way you want to use. And then right after that, they're like, and we're also charging $50 a year for online. And everyone's just like,
and that's okay, because the way that they did, and it wasn't like they came out like Microsoft did years ago when they said for online play you had to pay to play online. It was PlayStation Plus, where again we've had
it's a different.
If you don't have Plus and you have a PS3 or a PS4 or a Vita, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
You should have it.
So even though the online functionality as far as multiplayer gaming is behind the paywall, there's so many incentives to be a Plus member to begin with. It shouldn't even matter. You should just be a Plus member for the deals, the free games, the betas, everything else about Plus should be all you need to get in there.
But
and then it's just a perk that you get multiplayer.
The biggest surprise of the year was Sony not announcing that they were going to do DRM, which everybody was really surprised at. And I think you were even yourself because of how strict they are.
And those are the ones who punch of $400.
And between that, so the whole E3 reveal was actually, I think, in general, a big surprise, just because of the fool of a company Microsoft made themselves out to be with their announcements, and then turning around 3 days later, not even 2 days later, I think it was.
Xbox?
The complete 180.
Yeah, it wasn't long.
It was 2 or 3 days. It was during E3 actually that they turned around.
The Level Up Show is a gaming dedicated video cast. We also podcast. You can find us on iTunes and our Google Drive, which is linked on Twitch. But we talk games. That's all we do. We talk about the news stories throughout the week. We have some people call in about certain news stories. We're on every week. We'll be doing Saturdays at 10 Eastern Standard Time from now on. So that's what we are. We are the Level Up Show.
Probably, but nothing slated yet.
But the bigger surprise was that they reversed it. I don't think anyone expected a huge company like Microsoft to just eat it
out of nowhere. Just do a complete 180. I mean, it's one of those things where you could say, how could Microsoft come back to this? Oh, the only way that they can come back from this is just completely changing everything that they just said, and no one actually expects anybody to do that, and they did. So
it turns out they had to.
They had to. Right. You have to give them some credit for actually sitting there saying, listen, we messed up. We were completely out of touch with what our gamers wanted out of the system. And some of the features that, people are constantly out there saying, oh, I'm let down because there's no game sharing and this and that.
They had a vision, though. I will say that they had a vision. They didn't realize that we were.
Fruition.
It will come to fruition. It's going to happen no matter how hard we fight it. Eventually it's going to happen just naturally. But they were a little early on it. But their vision is sound. They have a great vision of this all-in-one entertainment system. It just was too early. People are not ready to give up all these rights. They misjudged.
And let's come out there too, and let's just say Microsoft did not completely screw up. This is just our big surprises of the year. Microsoft has made some great changes to a gaming machine in general, and I am an Xbox fan.
Yeah,
I enjoy my 360 and the Xbox One, so it's not.
The noise cancellation is muting you. I didn't know there was noise cancellation. I wonder if I can. Hold on one sec. I'm going to see if I can look in the options real quick and turn that off for you guys if there is noise cancellation.
Oh, there is.
Let's see. No, I don't see anything about noise cancellation.
All right.
Sorry, guys. I don't know why it would be muting out on you guys, but hopefully it's just a problem of PSN being overloaded.
Yeah, so them saying they're going to have DRM and coming back and saying they're not going to have DRM was completely surprising.
Yeah,
it was almost our number one surprise of the year.
Yeah, and then we thought of another one at the last moment.
Then we have another one that literally made me do some self-injuring.
Yeah, during the E3 announcement.
Of how random and exciting.
Again, this was another 1-2 punch at the moment.
Square Enix. So for those of you that didn't watch Sony's E3 coverage, Square Enix obviously is going to come out during a Sony conference, and they announced what everybody was hoping to see was more Final Fantasy Versus 13.
And it was great because it looked like it was going to stay Versus 13.
Right.
And I was really surprised.
Also, it cuts it out.
Yeah, it's like bang.
Nowhere.
15.
So what happened? You can go ahead and explain what happens when they show the video.
Yeah, so pretty much it went through. It looked like the same game. Nothing had changed, but it was PS4 now. You could tell that this was PS4. Like the graphics looked better, and right off the bat, that was just exciting. It was just like, wow, we're getting this game, but we're going to get it even better than before. Right. And then Versus 13 came up, and I was like, wow. Why not take the opportunity?
And at the same time, the entire internet blew up.
Yeah.
Complete hatred and loathing towards Square Enix, and you don't care about your fans and this and that. And guys, honestly, get over yourselves. And I know you're gonna hate me.
It's
for
still coming
that,
in a year or so, but
you know, it's one of those things where.
So realistically, though, like for Versus 13, I mean, this game has been delayed for so long.
That's why
it's 6 or 7 years.
For it to not be on PS4 at this point.
It wasn't that. It's that it changed from Versus 13 to Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah, and I think people like that because it makes it a mainline Final Fantasy. I think what people were disappointed in is that we were promised Versus 13 on PS3 in 2006.
Right.
And a lot of people, including me, it turns out that's not the reason I bought a PS3, but at the time it was one of the reasons. And there was plenty of games otherwise to play. But when I got it, I saw 13 and Versus 13. I was like, Final Fantasy on PlayStation again. Before it went multi-platform and all that kind of stuff, I'm sticking with, and Metal Gear Solid 2.
And I mean,
I'm sticking on PlayStation.
Expressed your real disdain towards companies doing that multiple times. We've had the conversation.
I don't like when people switch it halfway through. If you announce it as exclusive, you should stay as exclusive. You shouldn't a year before the game comes out, 3 years later, say, okay, now it's on this system.
Here's the thing, though. If you say, listen, we're actually redeveloping it for multiple systems, and it comes out 2.5, 3 years later, would you still be as mad?
No, because clearly that's just them trying to get as much out of it as they possibly can.
So it was just the fact that it happened last minute is what really got me.
It
really grind your gears.
Yeah, it grind my gears a little bit. It turned out 13. I still got 13. I really liked 13. It wasn't my favorite RPG this generation, but it was a great game. But besides that, the surprise not only was 15, it was the second punch. The second punch that came right after 15.
And this is what got me, and this is something that I've been waiting for a long time. And I actually, it's one of those things where every year ever since we started watching the E3 coverage at your house, what was that, like 4 or 5 years ago now? When we would come over here and watch it on TV. Hopefully this is the year. This is going to be here. Out of nowhere, Square Enix, what's his name? Who is it that?
The president?
The president. What's his name?
I can't think of his name off the top of my head. But he
kind
of does the one more.
We have one more thing, and it's one of those things where you're like, nah, this is
Tetsuya Nomura, I think is what it was.
Yes. And out of nowhere, you just hear the familiar music and the chime of the Keyblade, and out of nowhere, bam! Kingdom Hearts 3, you just see Sora, what you assume is Kingdom Hearts 3, you see Sora sitting there with a bunch of Heartless flying through the area, and
that they would show anything from the game at a launch title.
It wasn't a teaser. It wasn't his face or them saying intro to a storyline like they did.
It wasn't just a logo.
It was literally them showing Sora coming in, and my fist went to my mouth. Yes, I inserted it and I bit down as hard as I could because I couldn't contain my excitement.
Yeah, and it sounds so weird that we're grown men excited, but these games are
amazing.
great games.
And so I got the remix, the 1.5 remix, and when you go back and play that and showing it to other people that have never played Kingdom Hearts or don't even know what it is, they actually, after sitting down for a few minutes, getting over the fact that it's cartoony and Disney based, they're like, wow, this is difficult, this is fun, and it definitely is a game that's worth playing over and over again. So the fact that they did that and, like you said, showed off gameplay of Sora, and if you have watched this or if you haven't watched this, go and do it right now. I'm not even going to be mad if you stop watching my feed and go watch this video just because how great it looks phenomenal. So
and it's early too.
It's very early.
It's probably still another year or two away.
I'm going to say holiday 2015. You're going to see probably
so 2 years.
Yeah. So it's
going to be great. And the other thing too is there's a lot of potential for Disney to use some interesting licenses now. Now,
Right.
now that they have Marvel and Star Wars.
Star Wars.
It's like we could have a Star Wars level. We could
I
have
don't
a Marvel
know if I
level.
want that.
I do.
I don't know if I want that.
I was
It
okay
doesn't
with
have
Pirates of the
charm.
Caribbean. I was okay with Tron. Like,
Right.
anything. Just go crazy. Just do weird stuff. Like, I just want to see weird
Right.
stuff in Kingdom Hearts. Just go anywhere with it. Because it's fun. That game is just so
Right.
much fun. So,
Can you imagine a lightsaber keyblade?
oh my god. So I didn't even think of that until right now. That's awesome.
Really?
Like,
You never thought about
I
that?
hadn't. That's
Oh
also
my
idea.
gosh.
And that's just so
Like
obvious. that they're gonna do
stormtroopers
it.
by your side fighting as your
Yeah.
allies or something?
Yeah, so
my
that's
God.
going to be awesome. That was one of the best.
So that
announcements.
I would say now you see why I wanted that one to be our last one because
Do you wanna-
that's when we got.
Let's
most
take some
excited.
calls now that we
Right.
have gone
We
through.
went through two of our top 3 lists.
Where's my?
technically top 4?
Oh, sorry, you have it. You want to open up the line real quick? It's on
Absolutely.
it's on the
Yeah,
Chrome
okay.
right there.
Here we
So
go.
we're gonna open up the lines. We want to hear what you thought were the biggest surprises of this year. It could be a game. It could be just like an announcement, a news story. But anything that you thought was like really surprising this year, gaming wise, please call in at
Damn it,
856-244-1656
It's true.
and let us know what you thought was surprising this year. While we're on the subject, is there anything else that was surprising this year?
Is this actual news, or is this still a rumor that the next World of Warcraft is going to be free to play?
I hadn't even heard that yet.
So that
He
is
was saying that
something
World of Warcraft might go free to play.
World of Warcraft 2, not
Two.
the current one. So the current one is going to finish with its expansions of how it's been going, but the next model is probably going to be more based off of.
I feel like they would
microtransactions.
honestly be doing themselves a great injustice. And
Because it's
injustice-
already free to play for like the
Right.
first how long? Like as long as you get
I
to a
honestly
certain
think
level,
they
it's free to
should do
play.
in World of Warcraft 2.
20.
I think it's really
19.
annoying when they do something
We're
like
gonna
that.
take a call real quick.
Right.
Hey, you're on the Level Up Show. You're live. How you doing? Someone just died.
Oh my god, we just killed somebody!
Someone just died.
Right. So,
All right.
alright, in the meantime,
Moving on.
keep calling.
856-244-1656.
Give a call. Someone just said The Division. That's actually one of my most anticipated for this coming year.
Yeah.
Right under Destiny, in my opinion.
Destiny, yeah.
Destiny #1 and The
Did you see
Division
the engine demonstration that
Yes.
they did of each?
Yeah, we were talking about that last
Yeah,
time, I think.
that looks
And
great.
amazing
Like the
that,
snow
yeah,
effects and
the
whatnot.
bullets having their own impact in different areas.
Yeah.
The fact that the tires on the car will
And like the
adjust
bouncing,
the
yeah.
car in certain ways. And it's one of those things where when you see it at a display like E3, and even the tech demo, you can kind of say, all right, this could potentially be cool, and then it could really just let you down, just like so many countless other games in the past.
Yeah.
So that's why it's number 2 on my
They're
list.
holding back a lot, though. There's still
Oh my
lots
God, yeah.
to
And
find
that's
out
why
about
I'm
the
actually really excited about it. But it's definitely the fact that, and we're finding more and more about it. It's definitely open world. It's going to be more about surviving than they actually let on in the beginning.
with a group of
Right.
your friends.
So
Oh, let's see who's on.
Hey, you're on the Level Up Show. How you doing?
Well, no, man. I feel kind of bad for whoever just died.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
That was like a terrifying
we
scream.
killed him.
Yeah, but anyway, do you have any like surprising things that you thought that happened this year?
I kind of do. I was a little surprised by Tomb Raider, the Origins one.
Origins, Tomb Raider Origins.
I think he's just talking about the
like
reboot.
the reboot. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, the reboot that happened. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that game. That
Yeah.
was actually on my. I think wasn't that on my top? No, I think that was my honorable mentions. I think.
Yeah, but it was definitely one of the
I
best
didn't know it.
games
And
of this
still,
year.
Still to now, people are like, when I say, oh, what should I play? And I say Tomb Raider, they kind of look at me with this weird face. They don't realize, how great this game
Yeah.
actually was, and I almost underestimated it at first.
Now, was it a surprise for you just because you thought it wouldn't be good?
No, I haven't played the Tomb Raiders for like 10 years,
Yeah.
and I wasn't interested in any of the reboots or any of the remakes, and I bought the PS4, and they have this on the PS.
The original,
Yeah,
well,
they
there's
have it
a
on the
definitive
PS4,
version
right.
coming to
The
PS4,
PS4,
and the one that came out was PS3
Right,
and 360. Yeah.
So, I think,
Oh,
I
I
think his
think-
phone was cutting out.
Yeah, I think he was cutting out.
having some
But yeah,
No, I think he's still there. You still there?
no, I don't think he is.
No. Yeah, I guess he cut out.
Well, let's take another
So,
one.
We'll take another call. We'll go back to that. We'll continue talking about that in a second.
Hey, you're on the Level Up Show. How you doing?
Maybe.
Hello?
We got a lot of shy people tonight.
Yeah.
But in the meantime,
stage fright.
Keep calling in.
So,
but about Tomb Raider, yeah, it was a surprise.
Out of nowhere, and it's one of those games, just like Bioshock Infinite, it was one of those games where I was coming home, my long drive home, and saying, man, I really want to do something, and I'll try Tomb Raider. Got some good reviews, and one of my favorite games that came out this year.
Yeah, it definitely was a great game. Go ahead.
Hey, you're on the Level Up Show. What's going on? Not much. Did you have a surprising moment or a top game of the year that you want to talk about?
I would actually say the Xbox One was kind of a shock.
Okay, in what part of it was kind of a shock? What we were talking about, or?
Yeah, all the BS that Microsoft is trying to do. I mean, I understand they're trying to take it to the next level with it and everything.
Right. Now, are you I'm guessing you're talking about like the DRM and stuff like that. I'm assuming, correct? So the funny thing is, I don't know if you're familiar with like Sony's prerogative as far as the overall company, even though it's different parts. But Sony is very big on licensing and restrictions. So I think one of the and Microsoft being PC based is definitely about that. So I don't think it was as much of a surprise they were going to do that.
I don't know. It's just they had such a huge base from last generation, especially in America, and I think it came as a surprise because it was so obviously a bad decision.
Yes.
Right.
And it's just and I think it was especially surprising because those diehard fans did not waste any time.
I mean,
they just were like, "We're done with you."
People can agree that Microsoft's volley was to get rid of GameStop, right? They don't want.
They want to get rid of GameStop. They want to get rid of used games.
I'll tell you right now, that was actually a poor decision on their part, just because of the fact that GameStop, and even Best Buy does used games now. There are two companies that benefit from that. And if they took away the whole used game thing, both companies would be severely hurt.
Yeah.
And what you don't realize is they have partnerships a lot of times with development companies or even system makers and stuff like that. So if they took away these things, I think the partnerships, and I think that's one of the reasons why I think the heads of the companies of Best Buy and GameStop kind of like chimed in.
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, I'm very, very sure of this disdain towards it.
As we said earlier, it's just the industry's not ready for that, and they will be. It'll come, but it's not right now. Is there any? Since we're also talking, I'm sorry, what was that?
I feel like it was a slap in the face to gamers and obviously GameStop and something like that.
Right.
Yeah, that's how people look at it.
I mean, there's a lot of games that.
Yeah.
Right. It's one of those things where we understand they want to make more money off of the games themselves, but there's a lot of games that I don't personally play unless it's used because I don't know if I'm going to like it, and that kind of leads into what we talked about. Was it last week when we talked about the microtransactions and stuff like that? I'm much more interested in buying things in game and in microtransactions if I get the game used because I didn't pay as much.
Yeah.
So I'm more happy to pay for DLC or in-game content that I didn't get.
I think the best way around this though is what Steam and PlayStation Plus are doing. Mm-hmm. If you want people not to buy used games, just have these amazing sales.
Right.
Like it's just if you can look forward to those things, that's what's happening for me right now. Granted, I'm waiting a lot of times to get games that I truly want, but it's because I know that they're going to come to PlayStation Plus.
Right.
They're going to come to like Steam or whatever as a sale. Like that's how you get people to buy your games.
Right.
Not like it's just it's so obvious. That's all you got to do.
Right.
But is there?
That's pretty surprising. So what was? Let's find out this though. What was your favorite game of the year?
I would say Grand Theft Auto 5.
Okay.
Yeah. There we
Popular decision for sure.
Right. And I'll tell you right now, I don't know about you. I honestly hate saying that that's my favorite game of the year because I really don't want the cliche game of the year to be my game of the year. But it made a lot of time.
Last of Us is cliche too. It's just they're great games. What do you want to do?
Right.
But yeah, that's a good choice, man.
Yeah, this is Ghost Games, by the way.
Oh! Hey, Ghost, how you doing,
Oh my
man?
God!
We're like best friends.
We're gonna start giving you like a level that you like level up every week.
You're if we ever actually come to fruition and make the website what we wanted to make it, you are going to be a dungeon master. I think is what we're going to call it.
Oh,
you're gonna be an official VIP member.
Thanks so much, man, for everything you do.
Right.
Oh, that's awesome.
All right,
man.
Thank you
for tuning in again. And listen, it was great talking to you, bud.
You too.
All right, take care.
Have a good night. Awesome.
So before the next caller comes in,
love
I've been
Ghost.
kind of like probing my mind of like what I think is the most surprising thing of 2013.
I shut down the phone for a second.
And one of the things I've just been thinking of, and maybe not the most surprising, but the fact that through the Xbox One live stream, if you say through a stream Xbox One shut off, yes, you'll actually turn off other people's Xboxes that are listening in on the stream. Like, they didn't put in on launch the software to actually filter out like sound that is coming from the stream or from the Xbox itself into the external speakers and take commands
why Twitch and Ustream was not supported.
So, like, you know, the example I'm talking
they need to work on their noise cancellation. They need to try and make it so that the input is not also going into the...
Like, the example I'm talking to, right, is like Jeff Gerstmann from Giant Bomb, like, did this and, like, turned off, like, 50 people's Xbox One.
Really? Wow.
Which is, like, ridiculous. That is actually a thing that happens.
You probably turned off a couple right now, because you could be watching us on Xbox right now.
Xbox One, shut off. Yes.
Did
it
win, Grover?
Yeah, and the thing is,
Did our viewer count drop?
and PlayStation's kind of similar too. Like, see, the thing that's happening right now, like I was saying, PlayStation, and nothing's happening, and I don't know if that's because I'm in Twitch. You know what I mean?
Right,
but maybe
right,
they knew that they wanted to shut off that functionality in Twitch. Cool. The thing is, like, I actually really am impressed with the voice functionality in PlayStation because the one of the things I keep hearing about, like Xbox One, is if you want to like go to a game, you have to like say the entire game. You have to be like Assassin's Creed 4, Black Flag. If I want it on this, I just go AC4.
Oh my god!
And
yes.
it goes
I
to
did. See, it did.
Yes,
It was
I
one of them.
responded.
Oh, damn, sorry. But I thought that was kind of
Way to
neat.
go, Dan.
Like, I don't have to say Killzone Shadowfall. I just say Killzone. I say AC4.
Right.
Like, you know, I don't have to say the entire
Now, I wonder
thing.
what happens when they make another Killzone game. I wonder if they're going to still be able
They'll
to...
have to, obviously they'll have to do some stuff. But I like that. I think that's
Right.
pretty neat that they put in the little shorter versions for you to call out to.
Right.
And it almost always works. The only thing I find doesn't work almost every time on PlayStation is standby. I can go PlayStation, power, and then standby never works.
Really?
That's the one thing I can never get to work. So hopefully they work on that a little
Yeah.
bit. Because everything else works. I can get every other thing to work except that.
I can't wait to get my Xbox One.
Yeah. You're getting there.
I don't know. All right, so next one, we have two more lists to go through. 3 most memorable moments of 2013.
There's only one that's really from you, so why don't you say yours first?
Yeah, no, actually...
The other one's kind of a joint one.
Well, yeah, the other one's a joint one, so there's one from each of us and one joint. So number 3 is going to be Grand Theft Auto 5. It was very hard, and even actually leading up to the show, me and Mark were both talking about what the most memorable moments were in the game, and we actually had decided on one, and then another one, and now the last one. They're all memorable, from planning out and executing your heists and actually seeing what entails. It actually has the music when you do the heist. By the way, you would love it. It sounds just like something from Drive.
Oh yeah.
So it sounds great. You're listening to it, and you're like, oh, I'm Ryan Gosling.
Something that feels like it was from Vice City almost then.
Right. So you have that feeling. So there's that, and then there's some of the heists themselves are great, individually. But the one scene I think overall than anything else, the most epic. That's kind of weird. The one scene that I would feel that kind of sums up the intensity of Grand Theft Auto and the humor and everything like that is a scene towards the end of the game. I'm not giving anything away really. You know that there's going to be a ton of guys trying to kill you. So you go up and try to talk to.
PS4 camera is worth buying, in my opinion, especially because it's only $60. It's basically a game, but
if there wasn't a PS4 camera, we would not be here right now.
Yeah, and supposedly it's already sold like one. It sold like a couple million, which is pretty great.
It's actually sold out in most stores.
Yeah,
right now.
it's selling really well.
It's hard to get as a PS4.
This is going to be a big deal, guys. Like this is fun. I can tell you just from our experience, this is a lot of fun. It's fun to get to put yourself out there and talk with people, even just while broadcasting your game. It's a ton of fun, and it's gonna be a big deal. So I think it's worth getting.
But anyway, so leading up to this, you're taking place of one of the characters is Michael, and you go to talk to a guy who's like a crooked, FBI, they call it FIB agent, and you go to talk to him, and you think the game is pretty much over at this point.
Yeah.
Or coming to a close, you think you're almost done, and out of nowhere, you get a surprise attack by 2 other guys in the FBI, and they have guns drawn at you, so now it's like a Mexican standoff. You have 4 guns drawn, and then out of nowhere, the rest of the FBI comes in with their guns, and a SWAT team comes in, and then these, independent contractor military guys come in with a helicopter, and they swarm the whole place, and it's just chaotic. It's extremely chaotic the entire time.
That guy thought the 3 characters screwed up the dynamic, but...
I'm completely out of disagreement with you, but I mean, everyone has their own. If you like Nico Bellic, that's fine. I just didn't personally care for the one side of this. But anyway, that I felt like definitely summed up Grand Theft Auto. It was the humor of we're in charge, not anymore. You're not. That whole South Park joke thing that they go through. So,
yeah.
So one of the things that I want to comment on Grand Theft Auto 5, which I think is an amazing game that's come out this year, right? And I saw someone put in the chat they thought Grand Theft Auto 4 was better than 5. From one of my very good friends who's played actually every Grand Theft Auto that's come out, he still thinks that San Andreas was the top. That it really hasn't gotten better.
One I enjoyed the most of the ones I played was Vice City, actually.
Okay. And you know what I think is that it's nice to compare like Grand Theft Auto 5 to previous Grand Theft Autos, but really, if I think of the open world games this year, Grand Theft Auto 5 versus Saints Row 4. What do you find more of a enjoyable game?
I do think this is it's a comparison that can be made only because that they're open world, just craziness.
I hate Saints Row.
They're very different.
They're very different games.
And I hate it in the fact of it's not that it's bad gameplay or it's overly. I just don't care for they go for the extreme and the goofy, and that's fine. I never really got into it. It was never my thing. It was definitely made to be a combative measure.
I mean, it's an entire franchise based off of San Andreas.
It's an entire franchise made off of saying, oh, there was a hidden dildo in San Andreas. Let's take this and run with it.
It keeps going further and further. Right. I mean, now we're literally superheroes. Like
there is a gun in the game called the anal rectifier, where you shove it up the ass of a person and launch them into the air.
Yeah, it's true.
Yes, and people were buying this for their 4-year-olds. I hate this so much.
I'm hitting you again.
What the hell? That's the second time I've gotten that. I don't like it. Woo! Don't say that to me.
Fist pump.
I am from Jersey too. That's kind of weird.
Oh my god.
But stop saying that, people.
But anyway, so Grand Theft Auto 5 definitely had those moments, and there's multiple other ones, especially with car chase scenes and everything like that. Which is what the game was based off of, and climbing up to a mountain, and helicopter scenes, and where you shoot the engine of a plane, out, and you have to follow that plane. Multiple things, but that scene definitely alone, I think the game in general had a bunch of memorable moments, but that one for me was one of my favorites.
Okay.
So you have your next one.
Yeah, and this is from Gone Home actually, and again, this is real fresh in my mind. But again, I'm just gonna say this one moment. But if you want absolutely nothing spoiled for you from
be nice, I'll punch you in your face.
That's like a double entendre. It's like watch your fucking mouth.
That's mean.
I can't block people anymore on here.
You can't?
No, it's bothering me.
All right, well, whatever. Guys, be nice, please. But it's from Gone Home, and if you don't want to hear anything about the game, just kind of tune out right now. But there's
30 seconds.
You're going through the game, and you, like I said earlier, it belongs to your father's uncle, and there's some bad news around him. He might have killed himself. He might have just died naturally, but like he was a hermit. And like a lot of people called him a psycho, and so there's like these like things like, oh, maybe there's a ghost in the house and whatnot, and maybe there is, but you have a moment where you realize that he had like a lot of secret passages in the house, like with weird stuff in them. And the first one you find, you go down and there's like all these newspaper clippings all down the wall, and it's real dark. There's just one light, and down there, if you look at all the newspaper clippings, you find this little crucifix. It's real creepy, and you pick it up, and it's got like scripture on it, and then right when you pick it up, the lights blow, and like at that moment, that was the first moment where I was like, holy crap! Like this game just went into like horror territory, you know what I mean?
Right.
And like it was like 4:30 in the morning, and I'm sitting here on the couch with the lights completely out, and Kristen's asleep beside me, and I'm just like bolting out of Harry Potter, guys.
That's funny.
I'm not going to tell if that's true, but I bolted out, and like from that moment, like even though nothing happened there, I just was on the edge of my seat. I'm like, is this a horror game? Like, what's happening here? Like, I don't know what this game is.
Right.
Like, is it just a mystery, or is there something like malevolent in this house? And just like it's that moment, just like it's gonna stick with me because it scared me, like legitimately. I got scared. So that was one of my most memorable moments.
Is Gone Home coming to PS4?
I think it is. I do think Gone Home is coming to PS4.
You gotta remember too, we were talking about last week. Sony has acquired Gaikai.
Yeah.
And Gaikai has been known for cloud gaming overall. You're gonna see, I know the biggest issue everybody has with PS4 and Xbox One is you can't play your old games on the current gen system or the new current gen systems you call them. You give it a little bit. I don't know what Sony's going to do, and they very well may be able to do the same thing with their own services. They have a lot of cloud services themselves.
Yeah.
But Sony acquiring Gaikai goes, above and beyond, saying we want you to be able to get all your games that you want, on one system. And
so even if it wasn't ported to PS4, there's potential that you could just stream it from a PC to your PS4. It'll have to have some workaround for the controller to work with it. But you might start seeing things like that where they don't have to put a lot of work into getting it on the PS4.
Right.
So. I think it's coming anyway.
So, our most memorable moment is actually not even a moment. It's an entire part of the game. And this is actually in his top. Stop breaking the house. Is actually in his number 1 game of the year, my number 2. So those that were paying attention, thank you. Last of Us. The entire last hour of that game. Yeah. If you stopped that game in the entire last hour of gameplay, there is something wrong with you as a person.
Yeah, you missed out on a lot.
You definitely completely ruined the way the game was meant to be played.
Again, we're gonna spoil a little bit here for you guys if you don't want to hear.
Spoiler cast, and we don't like spoiling anything. We would get really pissed when people spoil anything for us. We don't want to do it for you guys, but this being the most memorable moment and it being out for as long as it has, unless you haven't had a system, sorry. So give us about a minute and a half to talk about this.
So I'll say where it started from.
Right.
The moment that this just kind of like just put me into overload was when you're going through the final tunnel at the end of the game and you're almost to the hospital where you think the Fireflies are going to be, and you're walking through with Ellie and you jump down onto a bus. And it shifts, and suddenly you're like, you were already on the edge of your seat at that moment. Right. You're like, we're so close to the end. Something bad is going to happen, and then the bus shifts, and Ellie is holding on, and you're holding on, and you fall inside the bus, and you're actually in control at this moment, trying to hold on to the rungs within the bus as the water fills it up, and then all of a sudden it crashes, and Ellie gets thrown out, and she's unconscious inside the water, and you've got to go over and pick her up and bring her out of the water and try and resuscitate her. But the problem is that she's infected. You can't resuscitate her. You can't do mouth to mouth. So you're trying to do CPR to her, and then all of a sudden the Fireflies come at the last moment and bash you over the head, and you're like, holy shit. Like, what happened? Where's Ellie? Like, did she die? And then, of course, from there, you can continue from there. I'll stop.
Well, from there, you have to carry her basically into the
hospital.
The hospital. I really don't like giving away this part of the game.
Yeah,
the
Fireflies tell you that she's okay.
Right.
They were able to resuscitate her.
Right.
And again, spoiler alert, but you get to a moment where it's like, okay, I want to see her. Joel's like, I want to see her. You think that they're finally at the moment now they're going to find the cure. They're going to use her to find the cure, and they tell you can't see her.
Right. They escort you out, essentially, in a way.
Yeah, and do you want to say the reason why?
The
reason why is because she has to die in order to get the cure. It grows all over the brain, and in order to figure out the cure, you have to remove the brain pretty much. So she has to die.
Right.
So of course, and this is another big part of the game is that.
Yeah, I know. Me too.
Is that wait, you played it?
The grapes are good.
Okay. He said we disagree with that part of the game is that she had to die.
Yeah, that's the thing is you have this moment where it's like I can't choose in this moment what Joel wants to do. You're playing his story.
Now you're on this is the first part of the game where you really feel
want to choose.
You want to choose something different, and you feel like you have no control over anything.
Yeah.
It's one of those parts of the games where you don't feel like you agree with ways.
So you're being escorted out, and you're like, okay, what's going to happen here? And of course, he sees his backpack with all his weapons in it. And Joel chooses that he's just going to go on rampage mode and just kill every person in this hospital that he has to in order to save Ellie. And this includes innocent soldiers and eventually innocent doctors. Like, you just kill everyone in your path because you are so hell-bent on not losing another child of sorts. It's just, he can't live with that. It's selfish. Right. And that's the thing. It's like what would you do in that situation? Like you've gone a year with a girl that's pretty much become your surrogate daughter.
Right.
Like what would you do? Like I always look at it myself, and the way I look at it is like,
I would do
what if I had a daughter and I found out that the cure for cancer was within her and that she had to die? Would I let her die?
Right.
No, I wouldn't let her die.
I would not. I would say you have to do everything else. And if I found out they were not, going to do anything,
find someone else.
I would not let that happen.
So when it first ends, I think almost everyone.
You should be ashamed.
Uh-oh.
Calling yourself the community that cares.
But we do care, Nicholas. It's all about the greater good.
Good. Woo!
But when it first happens and you realize what Joel's decision is, especially when it comes to later on and she asks him the truth and he just flat out lies to her face and said, no, like, you are not needed for the cure. Like, he pretty much just flat out lies to her. At that moment, you're just like, oh my god. Like, I was playing the villain the whole game. He's a complete asshole. Like, he's like, I can't believe I played this whole game and I'm the villain. Right. But then, day by day goes by and you're like, what would I have done in that situation? Like, like, of course, like, I don't think I could kill 1,000 people just because I don't think I could kill 1,000
Paradox
people.
wants to know now, what if my daughter had cancer and she needed the cure?
Well, screw
her.
That's not my daughter. I don't care.
And that's the whole thing. And Mark just Exactly. It's for the greater good. And what would you do in that case? Paradox, again, if you had the daughter that could cure cancer, would you sacrifice your daughter in order to save all of ours? You don't know any of us.
And then you can go even deeper than that. Like, we've been in this world for 25 years. Is it worth saving, first of all? Everyone's gone to the brink of just, like, human destruction and just terrible. Everyone's become a terrible person pretty much for survival purposes. But so is it even worth it to try and save this world? Is it worth saving? Is it possible to save?
Right.
But then also, like, who are these doctors?
Right.
It's been 25 years. Do they know anything? Is this even a sterile environment?
Right. Yeah, I mean, one of them was only like, what, 30? Yeah, they were like 5 years old when the whole thing happened.
Yeah, so it's like, would it even work? It probably would have, from what they were trying to imply.
So yes, to Mr. Famous, winter season, the entire winter season.
Yeah, that's another.
Was a great play, a great piece. But the whole gameplay had its favorite moves, but that last hour.
End of the game, I kind of wish they didn't have her say okay. And they just left it like on her end.
Right.
And then you would be open to wondering, like, is she going to accept Joel's answer?
The thing is, I think they did it okay for a reason, and I think the reason they did it, we're doing a whole ton of spoilers right now, is because they wanted you to realize that she was complacent in his lie. She was okay with it. She knew he was lying in that moment, and she said okay because they had gone through so much together that it's like, whatever happened, happened. I'm with you. What you did, you're basically my father now. And as a father, you make decisions for your children.
Right.
And, you decide what's best for them. And I don't think that's exactly what Joel was doing. He was being selfish.
Yeah,
but that's what I think she was thinking in that moment was, okay, you're lying to me right now, and I know you are. I'm never going to know the truth about what happened, but I trust you enough. We've been through enough together
to know
that I'm going to be complacent in this lie.
Well, we do see a inkling of a community rebuilding and managing to like get things back together.
Yeah.
So it's not totally bleak, but it's still so.
It's more depressing to me than if one of them were to die or both of them were to die. Mm-hmm. When I first finished that game, I was a little bit numb, and I think Kristen thought I was disappointed. I wasn't disappointed. It was just that I was actually more depressed than I would have been if Ellie were to die or Joel were to die.
Yep.
I was just so depressed that I thought that I had played the villain the whole game, that I lied straight to her face at the end of the game and done such a terrible thing. I was just like I couldn't believe I had no control over this. Like, I know when I went into the doctors at the end of the game, I was like, I stood there for a minute and a half probably, and she has the video. She recorded me when I was playing the end of the game, and I just was like,
I don't know what to do.
What do I do? Like, do I have to kill these guys? Like, I was like, can I shoot him in the leg? Like, what can I do? I did not want to kill these doctors.
You really did.
I think you can go through it without killing him.
You can shoot him in the leg, but you don't. He just kind of drops to the ground, and then the other one's like, "You're a monster!" Like, and it's funny. Like, a lot of other people were just like, "Screw that!" I just went in with a shotgun and blew him apart. Like, so it's like everyone was different, but in that moment, I had like a moral conundrum going on, and
you really did.
That's what. And when I look back on it, that's why it was so memorable. Like, that whole last hour was just so intense.
Right.
It really was. Like, and that's why it's my favorite game of the year.
Yep.
Yeah, you could. I don't agree with it, but yeah, you could think the gameplay was a little bit repetitive, maybe by the end of the game. But the way that story was told, and that they weren't just going to be cliche with how they ended it, they went in directions that I think a lot of people really did not expect. I don't think really anyone expected that ending. Everyone was like, Ellie's going to die. Oh, Joel's going to get bit, and Ellie's going to have to kill him. Like, all these things. And I think I really can't.
And I know that they actually made it a point to not do a cliche ending.
Yeah.
They even actually said that in the documentary
which is a great documentary, by the way. If you haven't seen it,
do yourselves a favor, watch it.
So that's my most memorable moment of the year. That was huge. Do you want to have some calls?
Yeah.
Let's
take a call.
I know. Sorry.
Do you want me to leave?
Okay, we're going to open up the calls for. We're getting close to the end, but we're going to try and finish up quickly.
Right.
So call in if you want to share your most memorable moment in gaming this year. It's 856-244-1656. We're getting close to the 2-hour mark. That's probably when we'll stop.
Yeah.
But
have one more list to go.
Do you want to go with the next list while because it might take a little while.
Yeah, because you know what, the last list was actually kind of, especially the first topic.
Disappointment list.
We're talking the next list we're gonna do
is. If I could talk about SimCity 4, I would.
Oh my god.
It wasn't called 4, was it? It was just SimCity.
That's actually our last one we're gonna talk about because that's the biggest.
Yeah, that's the most disappointing in my opinion.
I mean, out of the disappointing, the least disappointing was actually the funny thing. It was actually the most surprising. Was actually most disappointing. Microsoft deciding to remove those awesome cloud features from the Xbox.
It was a part of the whole DRM 180 that they did, but through doing that, they had to remove some features that were actually kind of exciting.
Yeah, the game sharing for one was a great idea. Now, I'll tell you right now, for those that don't know and didn't look into it very well, it's on. It wasn't as great as they were making it seem. It was one of those features that I think would have been phenomenal if it was, brought the way that they claimed it would.
Yeah.
But it was not going to. You were only going to be able to share an hour of the game. You
Yeah.
couldn't play it at the same time. There was a lot of limitations that you had on the game. It was more like a long demo.
I feel like that's well coupled with Don Matrick saying that if you don't have an internet connection, we have a system for you.
We have another
Matic?
system.
Yeah, we have another system for you.
That's
Called the
Matrick.
Xbox
Is it?
360.
It's Don Matrick, yeah.
Yes, that was actually very entertaining. That was actually one of
Yes.
my favorite. Actually,
Some
that
of his
was-
comments were like
Oh my
PS3 level,
Yeah,
like
Paradox
of
were getting
stupidity.
Right.
Like with what was it? I can't remember who the president back then was named. Ken Kutaragi, pretty much saying like you'll have to work a second job to get a PS3, stuff like that.
Right.
It was so bad.
Right.
Some of the stuff they were saying back then. That Don Matrick's comments at that moment were like that level of stupidity.
I'm actually kind of interested to see who he thinks Will Wright is.
Yeah.
Someone thinks there's Will Wright in the room.
Okay. Well,
I think
we're
he's
going to be
talking
talking
about
memorable
Yes.
moments.
So.
Hey, you're on the Level Up Show. What's your most memorable moment of the year?
Silence.
All right.
Silence.
Silence was the most memorable moment.
Keep trying. If you guys want to share a memorable moment,
But yeah, so
856-244-1656.
Yeah, them taking those features away was definitely a little bit disappointing. Don Matrick actually, saying, we have a system for those that can't play online. It's called 360 was easily amazing. And I know you were sitting there kind of like.
Yeah, at that moment I was just kind of like, I was laughing a little bit. I was just
You
like,
were.
this is just a train wreck.
You were
Like,
taking- it was, and everybody was. It was like,
It
I
was
can't
really
believe
funny.
you're doing this. So
yeah.
they definitely.
I almost, this sounds terrible, but I almost wish they followed through with it all, just to see what would have happened.
Yeah.
I would just to see if people would have actually stuck to their guns.
Which is surprising. I think actually they would have. I think you would have seen a huge increase in desire for a PS4 over the Xbox.
Yeah, I think so too, but
Now-
I wonder if it would have done that badly.
Right. Now, you know what? I'm going to add another surprising or disappointment of the year. Stock level of the fucking PlayStation.
Is it dropping?
Oh, no. It's never been great. You get,
Yeah, I know.
stores that have shipments of like anywhere from 3
okay, so what you're
to
saying.
12 at a time.
I thought you were
When
talking about stock
Sony leading up to the launch saying we're guaranteeing everybody that wants a PS4 is going to get one by the holiday. We're not going to make the same mistakes that we did with the PS3. We will have enough for everybody.
The thing is, they're going to sell 5 million by March. If they
doesn't
do
matter.
that,
But I'm
that
saying-
means that they
but
pretty much
here's-
manufactured everything they could.
It doesn't matter. It is you do not go out of your way to make a statement of everybody that wants one will have one.
Yeah.
If you don't know if you can guarantee it.
Yeah.
And don't sit there and say, oh, we didn't know, we were surprised. Get the hell out of here. When you see your reaction to what you announced at something like E3 and then also at every other conference and show leading up to it, you saying that, oh, we're guaranteeing everybody's going to have a console and then not actually being able to carry through with it is actually a big slap in the face, and it's actually one of my biggest disappointments.
Yeah, it's tough because I mean they're shipping them. I know Japan just got a huge shipment on Amazon. It sold out in like 10 minutes.
Right.
It's gonna be tough.
Right.
This is launch. Like this is the way it works.
Xbox One isn't having shortages, and they're selling.
They are.
Look how
They're having shortages.
barely.
You can find them, but they're having shortages.
I know better than you do. They are not having a shortage. I can guarantee.
I don't think you could go into a store right now and just be like, I want an Xbox One.
Yes, you can.
So
I don't know about that. I'm telling you. You know what? I'm calling up Walmart right now.
Okay.
Go fuck yourself.
Walmart's closed. All right,
It's
we're
not.
gonna
It's
call.
24/7, bitch.
Okay.
Whoa.
All right. So welcome to the Level Up Show. You're live. Do you have a memorable moment from the year that you want to share?
Wow.
So
People don't like our voices today.
I have to say, because I've seen a few flies on the chat of asking for like, should I buy an Xbox One? Should I buy a PS4?
Buy whatever
And,
you want.
So I think the statistics are like that PS4 sold 1 million units in one
Okay.
region, right? North America.
Did you watch our show last week?
No, I didn't, obviously.
Xbox One was
And
worldwide.
then Xbox One was worldwide and sold 1 million units. Yeah, fine. So like, both units are selling well. That's good anyway, right? Because you want them to sell because you want the game market to be healthy. So both are good competitors that they can come up with good games and have reasons of why you want them to buy them. But like, from a honest opinion, if you're asking for a recommendation, should you bet on a PS1 or Xbox 4? Bet on a PC and
That was
wait a
weird.
year.
What?
You just reversed this.
Right? Bet on a PC and just wait. Because like honestly, by the time Titanfall comes out, by the time Destiny comes out, that's when you'll know if you want a PS4, you want an Xbox
the
One.
change to that conversation is that PS4 and Xbox One will have Destiny at the same time as PC. Same thing with Titanfall. Destiny will be or Titanfall will be on that as well.
Hey, you're on the Level Up Show. Welcome. Do you have a memorable moment that you want to share from this year? No, sorry, you have the wrong number. No luck right now with calls.
No. I would bring up too. I'm just interjecting. Is that things I think that were ridiculous that happened this year was what is the company that made Tomb Raider?
That was Square Enix.
So Square Enix.
It was Eidos' division of Square Enix.
So was it the CEO or whatever it was, the head or director of the game was fired because they had made like $7 million in profit and that wasn't enough?
Yeah, their predictions were much higher than they should have been.
Way higher than they ever should for that and something else. I can't remember what the other game was.
I think it might have been the one where you're the Agent 47.
Hitman. You're right. Yeah, it was.
I think I don't know what they were thinking because those games both sold really well, but their predictions on how well they would have sold were way too high.
Yeah, and like to fire someone over like how profitable and how well Tomb Raider did sell, that is crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
The thing is, I have to wonder, like, was it actually profitable, or did they actually put so much money into that game that it still wasn't profitable? I think it was, but if it was a decision that it was that much to make it, and 5 million units wasn't enough to break even, there was a problem there. That's a big problem.
Is Mike calling Walmart?
Fucking right.
Yes, Mike is calling Walmart.
No one's picking up. It's
because
it's also Walmart.
It's because it's almost midnight.
24/7.
It doesn't matter.
That's true.
Okay, so welcome to the Level Up Show. You're live. Do you have a memorable moment that you want to share from the year?
My memorable moment, huh? Well, I have too many memorable moments. I guess my memorable moment you said for this year?
Yeah, for this year. For this year.
Oh, for this year? Oh, geez. There's too many.
It could be a game, or it could be just a news story, something that surprised you, or...
Well, really, I'll tell you what really surprised me is that the Plants vs. Zombies Curse Warfare is back coming out for PS4. I'm sad about it now.
What? I'm sorry, you couldn't...
Plants vs. Zombies is not coming out for PS4.
The thing is, that might come eventually.
It will come eventually.
Again, what's that, EA now?
Yes.
EA does not to keep games off consoles. Like, that'll come. It's just, you have a little bit of like an exclusivity thing going on. So I wouldn't be too broken up over it. It'll definitely come for sure.
Yeah.
All right, man. Thanks for calling in.
As I said, I just look forward to, most of the games that actually come out for the next year. As you mentioned, Destiny and which, it's gonna be great. It's coming out in September. Actually waiting for that. Hopefully, it'll push me back again. So, I mean, that's pretty much what I'm actually looking for. That's my memorable moment. There's just too many. That's too many memorable moments. Actually, one of my memorable moments was actually saying farewell to my PS3 when I had it put down my PS3.
Yeah. Did you actually put it away? Is PS4 only one on the shelf now?
I actually traded it in to GameStop.
Oh, you traded it in? Okay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace. He traded in his PS3 for his PS4, which a lot of people did.
Right, tons of people.
How much did you get for it, by the way?
$110.
Me, I only got $80
$80?
out of that.
Okay. I think it's a little low.
No, it was that was anywhere from 80.
I thought they were having a deal though. That was almost
certain times of the year it did.
Okay.
But a lot of people missed it.
I understand how you feel though. Yeah, PS3 I thought was an amazing console, and so it's tough to get rid of something like that.
Are you one of our commenters?
Yeah, I'm actually looking at you guys right now.
Okay. What's your name on Twitch?
Black
Okay.
Okay. Cool.
Cool, man. Thanks for calling in.
Watching.
So yeah, I'm just gonna be watching you guys and see what's going on.
Okay.
I'm watching you.
See how many much more people that will call and actually tell us how their memorable moments.
Yeah.
That won't just hang up right away.
My memorable moment is my RIP to get a 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. I understand, man. That's a good one though. Thanks for calling in.
I have to say.
See ya.
Have a good night.
I have to say, to the comment he made about Plants vs. Zombies, it's interesting how the first Plants vs. Zombies is just $5, whatever on.
Yeah.
If you're doing iOS, or Android, which is what I have it on. But for Plants vs. Zombies 2, it's free, but you have the whole barrier of the microtransactions to be actually able to progress to the next levels.
I just want to show my point.
You can either do pay
again. The thing is though,
to move to the next stage, or you have to go back and play to get so many.
Right. Well, you can replay it over and over. I've done it. I've gotten multiple worlds. I actually beat Plants vs Zombies already without paying a dime. So
I've been all over recently, and I haven't seen Xbox One anyway.
Well, you're looking at you can't see it.
But either way, the thing is, they're
Xbox One is in stock everywhere.
They're allocating all their shipments to America and UK, and that's it. Okay. So Sony has 21 territories that they go. There's not in Japan.
It doesn't matter. It's
neither of them are in Japan. Okay, you're welcome to the Level Up Show. How you doing? Hey, do you have a memorable moment from the year you want to share?
Moment from the year that I want to share when Miley Cyrus danced with the midgets at the MTV Awards.
Well, which one?
Talking about Miley Cyrus when she was.
How about a favorite video game moment?
How about a memorable video game moment? That was memorable. I'll give you that. Right. But do you have a video game moment that you thought was memorable?
When my Battlefield 4 wasn't connected to the servers, that sucked, man.
Yeah, actually, you know what? That's funny that you actually mentioned that, because that's actually number 2 in our list that we were just talking about. Disappointments of the year.
Yeah, that's one of the most disappointing things this year.
Yeah, I gotta go get some bong. I'll see you later.
See ya.
Take it easy.
Did he say his bong?
I guess so.
He had to go get his bong.
Power to you.
So actually, that leads into our next one, and we're going to continue taking callers. The next one was
Battlefield 4.
Battlefield 4 not having connectivity.
Not even just that, crashes.
Right, and crashes and just complete, and Battlefield 3 had the same problems when it first launched, but not to the same extent.
And this is like their flagship title. Yep. Like, this is EA's flagship title. This is their Call of Duty.
Right.
And they couldn't get it to work for a console launch.
They added a lot of features, and especially like experiences with vehicles that are so much better built upon from Battlefield 3.
You played it, right?
Play the freaking game.
You played it, right?
I played a little bit.
A little bit. So they added these special packs that you get once in a while. That as a sniper class, you have 12 guns altogether, and 8 of them are accessible by ranking up, and 4 are accessible by special packs that you unlock as you rank up. And they're random. So he's right. Yeah.
Hey, you're on the Level Up Show. We're wondering if you have a memorable moment or maybe even a disappointment in gaming that you want to share from the year.
Yes, my memorable moment was when me and my dad went hiking up to Mount Everest and we climbed the mountain.
Oh, okay. That's cool. Did you hang up on him?
Did I?
I don't think so. Are you still there? Oh, you hung up on him.
Did I?
Oh, damn. Okay, well, sorry to guy. That's a memorable moment, but we are looking for gaming moments. Right. But that's awesome that you climbed Mount Everest. Like, I wonder if that's true. That's pretty hardcore.
Oh, yeah, it's true. Yes.
That's pretty hardcore. Whoever just called.
Right. Yeah.
But okay, welcome to the Level Up Show. You're live. Do you want to share a memorable moment or a disappointment from the gaming year?
No.
Oh, I think he hung up on us.
Someone thinks that Mark looks like the guy from Son of Anarchy.
Doesn't he? That's an example of them crashing. Is there still in Battlefield 4 a specific level where if you shoot down a building, the game crashes? And people haven't known in multiplayer to just avoid shooting down that building.
I didn't ever experience that once, but that's terrible.
Hey, you're on the Level Up Show. Do you want to share a memorable moment or a disappointment from the gaming year?
I couldn't understand.
I'm sorry.
The only thing I could just...
I'm having trouble understanding you. Could you say that one more time?
The PS4 kept you going throughout the year. I mean, look for it. I mean,
well, the thing is, I couldn't understand.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. We can't understand you. We're gonna have to let you go. Thanks for calling, though.
Yeah, I think the PS4 and both the Xbox One have both been, things to look forward to this year. I think it's more interesting as the Battlefield. If you want to say the atmosphere, the geography.
Let's wrap it up.
You want to piss PS off a little bit?
With the,
Rusty PS going to rant?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Sure.
We're gonna take this call and then we're gonna let you go on your rant.
Thank
we're gonna
you.
stop the line, then you can
do that.
All right. Last call.
Last call of the night.
Hey, welcome to the Level Up Show. We're looking for your favorite or most memorable moment from the gaming year, or maybe even a disappointment.
Battlefield
Wow, yeah.
Yes.
A lot of people calling about this.
A lot of people have an issue with that, and I agree with you, man. I've experienced it. This is like one of my favorite games. But I had it on the PS. What system did you have it on?
PlayStation 4.
Okay.
They do not have a party up system.
They don't have a party up system?
Not yet. Not a good, not a true one.
You have to join your friends while they're in the game.
You have to drop.
Wow,
while they're
that's
in the game.
just backwards.
Battlefield 3 had well, I think you played it with me for a little bit, so you know. Yeah, so Battlefield 3 would have that. Right. I don't understand what the choice is for not making this.
I can't believe that they weren't prepared. I can't believe it. It's just unbelievable. I hope they fix this soon. And supposedly they've devoted like all of their energy towards fixing all these issues, but there's still nothing. I don't think. I mean, there's still problems, right?
And the game's been out for a long time too. It's been out for a while. There's enough time for them to fix it.
Yeah. That's one of the big disappointments. I'm glad we put it on the list because I know you were maybe thinking of not putting it on there, but it seems like people are really disappointed.
You know, it's one of those things where it's not that I didn't want to put it on the list. It's just that I didn't know. I feel like there was.
Didn't know if it was like true, like.
Right. Well, I mean, you gotta remember too. I guess because it's still 2013, you could say disappointments of the year because it was a disappointment in 2013. I just don't know how much longer it's going to actually last.
It's gone on too long.
I don't want to say Battlefield 4 in itself is a disappointment. I just feel like the online multiplayer, which is a big part of the game, is a disappointment at the current moment, but only for certain systems. Because I actually only had a couple small issues, but people like you on the PS4 and Xbox One had it more.
The fact that they released a map pack before even fixing the problems in the game.
You know what? And can I address this real quick? And you have to understand, and I completely understand from your perspective of it, why that would be annoying. However, it wasn't that they were developing, the map pack after known issues.
They were already
in development. And actually, I don't know if you noticed, most map packs are developed at the same time as the other maps. They're just held on to, so they can release stuff throughout the year. So
which is terrible almost in itself.
Right, and I understand that. That's a whole conversation in itself. So releasing it, then I'll tell you right now, I'm surprised they released it when it did because the game had only been out for a month.
Yeah.
So I think that was a dumb move. I think they should have waited until January when there's a game.
Or at least until the game is fixed.
Right. Well, no, and that's his problem. But you have to remember too that they're having issues. Yes, but they already had planned this. They already said this was coming. They already making people annoyed enough as it is. Now they're going to tell you something's coming and then change their mind. That's even worse of an idea. Yeah. They shouldn't have planned to release this map pack till January in the first place.
Yeah. That's your biggest disappointment. Do you have like a memorable moment though?
Yeah.
In any game.
In any.
For 2013.
In 2013, really, in games or even like gaming news.
But not Miley Cyrus.
Gaming news. Well, I like the fact that you can on PlayStation 4 that you can talk like as you did on Xbox 360. You can talk to your friends.
Party chat.
Playing a different game.
Yeah.
Right. So they finally had a party chat.
That's really cool, especially it's new to PlayStation.
Yeah, definitely.
Have you only had a PS3 or did you have Xbox 360 as well?
No. A couple of my friends though do.
Okay, so see, to me it was a cool feature.
Always been that's one thing they've always had over us.
Yeah, I agree.
So for me, it wasn't that great. It was like, all right, finally they're doing it. For people like you and my friend Drew right here, it was like, oh wow, this is awesome, this is great, you can do. But for me, it's like, wow, you finally have this, and it was kind of one of those things where, way to finally realize you done fucked up.
Yeah, the thing is, like, I think their architecture, whatever they had going on with the PS3, was just they couldn't figure out how to include it, like, because they knew everyone wanted it. And they couldn't figure out how to get it in there. So that was one of the big requests. Can you grab that from him? That's the code. So yeah, I completely agree with that. That was a big thing that happened for PlayStation, for us at least.
Also, a new thing coming is like the Minecraft. That's a really big deal.
Yeah.
Microsoft used to own Minecraft for PC and then Xbox, and now it's Sony.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Minecraft is a big deal. It's a huge deal. So yeah, thank you for sharing. I'm sorry, what was that? Oh, it's already out on PS3. Okay. Yeah, and it's coming to PS4. Yeah, that's great, man. Thanks for calling in. All right, take care.
All right, so we need to wrap up the show.
I'm going to shut down the number.
So let's let Pihash rant a little bit.
So I think the other disappointment that we discussed earlier is SimCity that came out this year.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you two have played it.
I haven't gotten to it yet. I was about to buy it.
And then you.
So now that I have a new computer, I could try.
So I got SimCity 4 because unfortunately, I'm a little bit. We are all a little bit older, and I went, oh, a SimCity game. Of course, I love SimCity. Like I played SimCity 2000. I played the SimCities after that. Like
3 and
it's gonna be great. I'll buy SimCity. And the disappointment of like you basically fill your city up within like 3 hours of gameplay
because it's so small.
Because it's such a small area, and the whole like system of where you're going to like play with other people and you're interacting and have things, that's fine. But I actually was never able to like join into an area. And I tried for a good month. Not to mention the fact that when I bought the game for the first whole week, I couldn't fucking play it.
Yep.
Because of the botched server launch.
That was the start of it, wasn't it? That was really the start of the fears of always online functionality.
It's kind of this unfortunate accepted thing that like when games launch, they're going to be in a mess because and it's reasonable too. Like you can't buy the amount of servers to deal with like the peak usage. You want to buy the amount of servers that's going to deal with the average usage.
Yeah, and then build up if you need it.
And coming from a background that may be involved in that, I understand why you would do that type of thing. But the whole then thing with EA coming out and apologizing but telling you no, we can't make it offline, and then someone hacking the game and being, oh yes, you actually can play it offline.
And then coming out and saying that they won't make the cities larger either.
Right. Yeah, it was just really unfortunate. And like, the game, like, a lot of the difficulty that I harken back to in SimCity 2000 and in SimCity 3 of like actually like dealing with like your citizens being like unhappy and dealing with actually giving them all the things, it's not there. Like SimCity that came out in 2015 is basically a walkthrough. Like it's very easy to like do. I mean, you can actually just have your citizens like miserable completely, and they'll still fill up your town, which like ruins the entire point of like trying. I mean, I had this experience in 2 of the cities I tried to build of like. I just didn't do any education, didn't do any police control, just only did fire, so like houses wouldn't burn down. And like I still got my like basically the max out population and like to build my industry up. And like it does give Maxis a bad name. Like they just didn't really seem to care about like the actual balance. They seemed to be forced into this whole like online multiplayer thing. I mean that whole game, like I wanted to love it, and I kind of kept going.
There's a lot of good ideas in there,
right? And I think what you're talking about is actually kind of entertaining. I don't know, did you finally see that? Because you go on IGN. Did you see that they finally released their final review of SimCity?
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah, because it's like
after all this time, he's right because it was a review in progress. Just because of the issues that they were having and everything like that, I like that they do that. They do a review in progress, and so they didn't want to give a final. But they finally gave their final review, and he said he wanted to love it, and he can't. And he said he could easily sit in there and watch the sprawling cities with the live people and cars and traffic for hours if it worked the way it was supposed to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like the other thing too is that so you have this whole like hero and villain package, which I think you actually had to buy as an add-on. I don't think it came with the initial game.
Yes, I think it was only like $10.
And like here's the thing is that okay, so you can have a hero and he can run around the city doing acts of kindness, bullshit, whatever, and then you can have a villain that runs around and like screws up your city. What's the incentive to do that? Why do you want your city to get screwed up? I mean, this is literally just like,
because it's,
you're bored, like let's unleash tornadoes.
Because it's like a sandbox, and it's so, like you said, it's easy to fill up your city within 3 hours, and they know it's not going to bother you.
But correct me if I'm wrong, they removed the functionality that you can save before destroying your city and then get your city back. Yeah, that's what people do. They would save the city, then they would destroy it, and then they would go back to their save. They made it so you can't do that anymore. They made it so that if you destroy your city's destroyed.
I mean, there's also this whole problem where, like, you go into certain territories that are based off of a resource like oil. Okay, fine. Well, so you're going to be an oil city and you put up a bunch of rigs. But then once you drill all the oil, there's no longer a point to playing. You literally have to go to another city and start again. And, like, people play SimCity, if you played a Sim type game, like, usually you play it to make your mecca of your dreams.
Right, I remember our friends.
You want to put all your time into one location forever. And it's just not, it's not designed for that at all. It very much misses like the original audience, and it offends the original audience.
Was that Humanities that they had that the SimCity thing in middle school? Was that in your school too? Did you go to?
SimCity or Civ? I don't know.
I remember. I think it was Humanities, and Pat was in it. Basically, actually, one of their projects was based off of for like an entire like half of the year. They had to actually make a city in SimCity. Yeah. And I remember like going in there and seeing some of the things they made. And I mean, these things were massive.
Well, SimCity like 4 especially was enormous. Like your city could be monstrous in that game.
Monstrous.
Yeah.
So and to make it as small and limited as it was,
the
whole thing was a very big disappointment.
Yeah.
And it definitely I think was the biggest one for 2015.
Because also like when you do a sim, you want to be able to put. I want my airport, and I want my rail station, and I want my giant highway.
You don't want I have an airport, and you have the rail station.
That your region will have an airport, so
and then
you don't get to build one. Well, that's not what I want. I want to be able to control my own experience.
Right. Yeah.
So
now the question is, what happens with the Sims? Because that's coming.
Oh,
also, they learn?
So they gave this whole bullshit thing of that like your Sims are going to like actually have a house, and they'll go to their job, and if they can't get there adequately, you have to put in public transit. But if you actually monitor the Sims, you can actually see them going to just random houses. They don't actually always go back to the same house. So like that whole feature was a lie.
Yeah.
And then EA apologizes. They give out free games. So what do they give out? They offered me Mass Effect 3, SimCity 4, and
thanks, Celtics fan.
Battlefield 3. Like, great. So you made this shitty game that doesn't work well, and now you give me another game for free. But so like me, I took Mass Effect 3. Unfortunately, I haven't had the chance to play Mass Effect 1 or 2. But it's like, well, that's great. Now I have to go buy Mass Effect 1 or 2 anyway. So it's not like trying to get me into the series because you give me the last game, not the initial one.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, overall, SimCity was a great big disappointment.
They're great.
And I'll tell you right now. Now, if this was old EA, like we were talking about before, if this was old EA, they would be like, listen, this is how SimCity is. Deal with it.
Yeah.
That's essentially what would happen. So
the thing is, like, I wonder if Xbox One's like online functionality fears would have been as strong if it wasn't for like Diablo and SimCity. Because that was like the start of it this year.
Diablo
that was like, wow, like this does not work. Like, like if you have it always online,
I really hate that stuff.
Yeah. So it's like I think
don't tell me the game can't be done offline when you have it on PS3 and an Xbox.
Because the thing was, like, people had already experienced this like always online stuff throughout the year, and how much of a disaster it was. So when Xbox said that they were doing this as well, it was like, holy crap! Like, what if your servers go down at launch? Which is something that always happens. Like
Battlefield, never.
Or at the holidays, because at the holidays that happens a lot.
Look what happened this year.
Yeah.
I mean, Nintendo just went up today. Okay.
Our dog is going nuts.
All right, so I think Bogey's saying it's time for us to be done.
Yeah. But we want to give away one code. It's not.
We do have a code. So
something
Mark did plug it, and Mark did tell everybody to follow us on Twitter. If you didn't listen, then that sucks for you.
We'll do it one more time. Are we doing kind of like a follow us and tweet at?
Yes.
Or something?
Yes,
okay, so follow us on Twitter at The Level Up Show, level spelled LVL. And what are we doing? Hashtag blood or werewolf? Or what are we doing?
Let's do hashtag werewolf.
Yeah, so people that want a chance at getting Blood of the Werewolf for Steam for free, we have a code for it, and we're going to message it to you privately. If you follow us on Twitter and tweet at us the hashtag werewolf. All right, one more time. Follow us at The Level Up Show, level spelled LVL.
Mark's plugging it right now.
And tweet at us hashtag werewolf. And we're going to do a random number generator, and we're going to figure out which one of you gets a private message with the code. So I think that's let me say everything. Again, that's our Twitter. If you want to follow us on Facebook, our Facebook is facebook.com/TheLevelUpShow. That's spelled exactly how it sounds. And then finally, we're doing reviews and articles on our blogspot at thelevelupshow.blogspot.com. Now, next week, we might be moving to Saturday. I think that's probably what's going to happen.
I'm fine with that.
We're going to do Saturday at 10 next week, and that's probably going to be the norm from now on because we feel like we'll get more people that way, and it's also better for us.
Yep.
So that's going to be the norm from there. And then also, I know a lot of people were having issues with lag tonight. If you want to listen to our podcast, we will be on iTunes. It's only the most recent episode will be on iTunes. If you want an archive of all the episodes, you can go onto our Google Drive. It's linked on our Twitch. All right? So that's where you can find an archive of all of our podcasts. But if you want the most recent, it's on iTunes.
I just want to thank again all of our viewers, those that you have been with us throughout the whole episode. There's some people that have left. I'm going to shout out Ghost Games is still
our
Ghost. Thanks for calling this week too.
If all of you could be more like Ghosts.
Hey, no, we appreciate all of you for what you bring.
Exoil too.
Seriously,
Exoil's been on the entire show, I think.
Celtics fan.
Yeah, Celtics fan. We love you too.
Is he from the U.S. or is he just?
No, he's a Swede that tuned in tonight.
He's a Swede.
Awesome.
Nice. He's a Swede.
Cool.
That's awesome.
We're getting people all over the place, but we just want to say honestly, it's again. I know it's cliche, but thank you to all of our watchers.
Thank
The new X-Play.
Huh?
Celtic's calling us the new X-Play.
You guys have a new X-Play? Yeah, it's awesome.
Level up. Level up. Level up.
We're gonna start having a laugh track. We're gonna have people in the background laughing at all of our terrible jokes.
I know that wasn't X-Play. I know that was more Attack of the Show. deal with it. We're still going to be better than G4.
And the thing is, like, hopefully next week we can get a little bit more viewers, just because Sunday Night Football won't be on, and Saturdays are usually better for people, I think. So hopefully we can get above 100 next week. But please follow us. We'll keep you updated on our schedule. We'll keep you updated on our new articles and all our new reviews. And also you can suggest to us what you want us to talk about next week. If you want us to acknowledge a question, or if you want to give a suggestion for topic of the week next week, we would love to hear your feedback. Or if you think we're doing something wrong, if you think we can improve the show in any way, just tweet at us or Facebook or private message, whatever you want. Again, finally, my PSN is DrewM1788 and Mike is Noob Guru. That's NOOBGURU.
Yep.
And
all of our stuff's on our Facebook, everything like that. So again, thank you guys. It's been fun. This episode is very interesting. Let's thank Dan for being here this week. He won't be here next week.
He's going back home. He's home for the holidays.
True. Yes.
So thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Dan. And thank you again to our producers, Mark, who is running the comments, Kristen, always keeping it interesting, and with our hot librarian look this week, we know that's what we're here for.
And one final time, Blood of the Werewolf for free.
Yes.
Follow us on Twitter at The Level Up Show and hashtag werewolf. You might have a possibility to get that free code. So thanks, everyone. I'm Andrew. This is Mike. That's Kristen. That's Mark. And that's Dan. We love you all. Thanks for making this a better show.
Enjoy your New Year's. Be safe. Drink a lot, but don't die.